Chapter 2774, Ice Spirit, You're Still Alive? 2. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue, who was standing at the entrance of the Divine Master's estate, was patiently listening to the Qilin clan leader's comments about the Divine Master's estate's entrance and the surrounding walls. From the Qilin clan leader's words, Lung Ruoxue could tell that he was very unhappy with the new walls of the God Lord's estate. After a long while, the Qilin clan leader said to Lung Ruoxue, "Girl, step back. I'm going to smash this wall. You're a disgrace to the God Lord's estate." When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she obediently took a large step back. However, she couldn't help but complain in her heart. "Old man, are you addicted to smashing other people's walls?" Coincidentally, Xian Yi and the other two who had just arrived also heard this, and their expressions changed drastically. Xian Yi was so frightened that he quickly pulled on Lung Ruoxue's arm, wanting her to stop the man from killing her. However, Lung Ruoxue could only smile apologetically and say, "Your Excellency Xian Yi, I can't stop him. I advise you not to stop him, in case you get into trouble." When Xian Yi heard this, he was stunned. Then he asked via voice transmission, "Little girl, who is that person? How come I've never seen him before?" Him. It was the recently awakened Qilin clan leader who had a deep hatred for that ripple of mist bitch. He was currently suppressing his anger and wanted to cause trouble here. Therefore, it's best that none of you stop him. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what this ferocious Qilin, who has just been released from the prison, will do. Lung Ruoxue explained with an evil smile. He's the Qilin clan chief? That legendary. When Xian Yi heard this, he was so shocked that his face turned pale. This girl's side was indeed filled with dangerous people. This little girl is really too bold. She actually carried a time bomb with her. As a spy, Xian Yi definitely knew more than ordinary people. Therefore, he was very clear about the enmity between the Qilin clan leader and Wu Yan. Now that the two enemies had met, they were extremely envious. This was indeed not something he could stop. Xian Yi, who had figured everything out quickly, also retreated with an extremely ugly expression. When Xia Yi and Huang Wei saw this, although they did not understand, they also chose to advance and retreat together. After the three of them retreated to the same line, the other two couldn't help but pull on Xian Yi's sleeves and whispered, "Are we just going to stand by and watch?" If the Divine Master knew about this, he would be furious. It's not that we don't care, but we can't. Xian Yi turned his head and said with a bitter smile, "What?" Their faces were filled with question marks. Looking at Lung Ruoxue, Xian didn't intend to hide it from these two. More importantly, he couldn't hide it from them. Therefore, he was happy to do them a favor and said in a low voice, "This person's identity isn't simple. We can't afford to offend him. Your Excellency Xian Yi, don't keep us in suspense." Xia Yi said somewhat impatiently, "He is the Qilin clan chief." Xian Yi said in a low voice, "The Qilin clan chief? Not the one you replaced?" Huang Wei also asked. "No." Xian Yi nodded with certainty. They really couldn't afford to offend him. Xia Yi and Huang Wei deeply agreed with Xian Yi's judgment. This time, the two of them were not so repulsed by watching from the sidelines. One must know that Reverend God level was different from Reverend God level. Among Reverend God level cultivators, there were also ordinary Reverend God level cultivators and top-notch Reverend God level cultivators. If Reverend God level cultivators could only be considered as middle to high-level Reverend God level cultivators, then this man could definitely be considered as a top-notch Reverend God level cultivator. In addition, the other party's original form was the most powerful beastie, and they were even less of a match. Thanks then, they could only watch the Qilin clan leader throw out a ball of icy blue divine power and smash the walls of the God Lord's estate in the same way. The moment the explosion sounded, the three of them turned their heads at the same time. The weaker guards were knocked unconscious by the aftermath of the explosion. After the explosion, Xian Yi gave the other two a look, and the three of them attacked the Qilin clan leader at the same time. The Qilin clan leader was surprised when he felt the strong wind brought by the three people. Then he took the blow excitedly. The Qilin clan leader, who hadn't fought for a long time, was extremely excited. Xian Yi and the other two, who were fighting with the Qilin clan leader, smiled bitterly. The Qilin clan leader was indeed powerful. Facing the three of them, he could actually still be at ease. This really made people sigh. Comparing humans to beasts was really infuriating. Originally, they had only wanted to put on an act, but faced with the serious and fierce counterattack of the Qilin clan leader, the three of them had no choice but to face it seriously. Otherwise, they would probably be embarrassed today. The three people who didn't want to lose face immediately became serious. As the Qilin clan leader had just woken up, it was obvious that his strength had not recovered to its peak. As a result, he did not seem to be struggling at first, but after a long time, his attacks obviously weakened. However, Xian Yi and the other two could not gain any advantage. In the end, Xian Yi, who did not want to fight anymore, directly left the battle circle, panting heavily. After that, Xia Yi and Huang Wei also left. Senior's strength is indeed extraordinary. Xian Yi said respectfully. He was old. I'm already panting to deal with you three little fellows. The Qilin clan leader laughed. He was getting old. The three of them were speechless because the other party was indeed older than them. However, the thing that the people of the divine realm cared the least about was age. After all, age was nothing to them. Therefore, when the Qilin clan leader said that he was old, it obviously made them feel a little confused. How audacious! Who dares to cause trouble in the divine master's estate? At this moment, an angry voice was heard. Then, a group of men in black jumped out of the divine master's residence. When Xian Yi saw the other party's stance, he couldn't help but scoff in his heart. Belated effort. What were you doing earlier? They only thought of coming out after smashing the walls. He didn't believe that the men in black had just received the news. He had probably heard that the three of them were fighting with the Qilin clan leader and felt that there were benefits to be gained, so he had rushed over to take advantage of them. Unfortunately, it was not that easy to take advantage of them. Moreover, it would not be easy for them to defeat the Qilin clan leader. The leader of the men in black did not expect to see Xian Yi's group of three and an unfamiliar man standing face to face and fighting without reporting to the guards. He was clearly disappointed. What was going on? Xuani, why are you all standing there like idiots? Hurry up and capture the people who are causing trouble in the God Lord's estate. The leader of the men in black said angrily. If we were able to catch them, would we have waited for you guys to come and pick up the scraps? Xian Yi sneered when he heard this. At this moment, Huang Wei and Xia Yi also deeply felt that it was a wise choice for them to withdraw from the battle in time. Otherwise, when they saw the faces of the men in black, they might have vomited blood. The leader of the men in black was naturally furious when he heard Xian Yi's words. He roared, Xian Yi, are you trying to betray the divine master? Betray the divine lord? It was really a big hat. You're making things difficult for us just like that? If we really wanted to betray the divine master, do you think we would still be standing here in such a sorry state? Xian Yi said calmly. Chapter 2775. Ice Spirit, you're still alive? 3. At this moment, their clothes were a little tattered from the battle with the Qilin clan leader. In addition, during the battle just now, there were many guards and people in the city who had watched, so he was not afraid of being wronged by the man in black. More importantly, besides the three of them, there was probably no other supreme god willing to serve her at this time. Therefore, no matter what, Wu Yan would not convict them of their crimes just based on a few words from the leader of the men in black. At the moment, Wu Yan would not do things like throwing herself into confusion and cutting off her own arm. It was because of this certainty that Xian Yi dared not to be afraid of the man in black's threat. When the man in black saw that he could not do anything to Xian Yi, he was instantly furious. However, he couldn't find an excuse to punish Xian Yi and the other two for the time being, so he could only record this account for the time being. Then, he turned his fierce gaze to the Qilin clan leader and asked arrogantly, Where did you come from, scum? How dare you cause trouble in the Divine Lord's manor? Scum? Little fellow, you're quite bold. How dare you say that about me? To tell you the truth, if this wasn't the Divine Master's residence, I wouldn't have come. Hurry up and get Ripple Mist out, Tell her that an old friend is here. The Chilan clan leader said angrily. After living for so long, this was the first time he had heard someone call him scum. However, he couldn't be bothered to argue with a small fry and wanted them to release the miasma. But it was clear that the leader of the men in black did not take the Chilan clan leader's words seriously. He said disdainfully, "Do you have the right to see our master? Also, please address our master as God Lord Fogripple. Otherwise, if I hear you call out his name again, I'll definitely exterminate you." "Kill me? Come now. I'll wait for you to exterminate me." The Chilan clan leader laughed instead of getting angry. This was really a big forest with all kinds of birds. He had not appeared in the divine realm for so long, and even a puny divine emperor dared to challenge his authority. Yes, I'll also wait for you to destroy me." At this moment, Lung Ruoxue also interjected with a smile. The moment he saw Lung Ruoxue, the leader's expression changed drastically. It was as if he had seen a ghost. His body started to tremble, and the hand he was pointing at Lung Ruoxue with was trembling nonstop. He could not even complete a sentence. Why didn't he hear that Lung Ruoxue was here too? Furthermore, he had been so focused on the unfamiliar man that he did not notice Lung Ruoxue, who was standing a distance away. Naturally, he was shocked. When the Chilan clan leader saw this, he couldn't help but glare at Lung Ruoxue with resentment. His eyes were red as though they were saying, "Little girl, you have stolen my limelight." These men in black were not afraid when they saw him. But when they saw Lung Ruoxue, they were so frightened. How could he accept this? The Chilan clan leader was rather worried, but Lung Ruoxue continued to provoke the leader of the men in black. "Why aren't you doing anything? I've been waiting for so long that the flowers have wilted. Hurry up and do it." Lung Ruoxue threatened with her last 3 words. The leader of the men in black turned pale. He pointed at Lung Ruoxue for a long time before finally uttering, "You?" He stuttered for a long time, but he still could not say a complete sentence. In the end, Lung Ruoxue was so anxious that she grabbed the leader's collar and continued to shout, "What about me? I told you to hurry up and exterminate us. Did you just ignore me?" The leader of the men in black trembled uncontrollably. When the rest of the men in black saw this, they quickly retreated. It was as if they were afraid that if they were a step slower, they would be killed by Lung Ruoxue. The Chilan clan leader was helpless. What the hell is this? He was a divine reverend, but they didn't care about it. Instead, a divine emperor-level little girl scared them so much that their faces turned pale, and they wanted to pretend that they had never appeared. This fact made the Chilan clan leader feel very unbalanced. Following that, he snatched the leader of the men in black from Lung Ruoxue's hands and smiled at her. "Girl, you're a woman. Don't be so rough. It's better for me to do this physical work." With that, he raised his hand and gave the leader a slap. The leader of the men in black, who had previously scared Lung Ruoxue silly, fainted with a single slap. He had not been prepared for the Chilan clan leader to make a move. Lung Ruoxue looked at the leader of the men in black in disdain, then said to Xian Yi and the other 2 in a rather serious tone, "Did you see that? Some people who like to be cheap should be treated like this. Your methods are too gentle, so he won't be afraid. It has to be like us. Some people, you just need a beating, so you have to use violence." Upon hearing this, Xian Yi and the other 2 became even more silent. They felt depressed. Because Lung Ruoxue was right. Look at his strength. They couldn't even compare to him when they rode on the dragon. All of a sudden, the 3 of them felt a strong sense of inferiority. At the same time, he was envious of her for living such a carefree life. In fact, who wouldn't want that? But without absolute strength and backing, who would dare? In the entire god world, other than Lung Ruoxue, who else could have such a strong backing and power? Lung Ruoxue's carefreeness was truly enviable. Almost everyone had the same realization at this moment. Thanks, however, Lung Ruoxue couldn't care less about the envy, jealousy, and hatred in other people's hearts. She nudged the depressed Chilan clan leader and asked, "Senior, do you have a way to make the ripple mist bitch appear?" "You didn't tea." "What?" The Chilan clan leader's eyes widened in shock as he asked in disbelief. So this girl also had things she couldn't do? I do have some, but didn't you just say that you should be the one doing the physical work? That's why I'm asking if you have any ideas. If you don't have any, then just do as I say. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Didn't you say that the ripple mist bitch should be healing? Then I'm afraid that ordinary methods won't be able to provoke her. The Qilin clan leader said after some thought. Like this? Then let's do it according to my plan. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. Tell me about it. The Qilin clan head was very curious. Xian Yi and the other two who were watching from the side were also curious. They couldn't help but stretch out their necks and perked up their ears to listen, afraid that they would miss a word. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxue didn't tell them what method she had. Instead, she mysteriously handed a piece of paper to the Qilin clan head. The Qilin clan leader was a little disheveled as he held the long and thin piece of paper. What was the meaning of this? Let him read it? Was this girl not afraid that he would be illiterate? He really didn't recognize some of the words on it. The Qilin clan leader's face darkened as he sent a voice transmission gloomily. Little girl, you want to see me embarrass myself, don't you? The words on it are too hard to recognize. The Qilin clan leader spoke in a reserved manner, but Lung Ruoxue understood what he meant the moment she heard it. Alright. She had really forgotten that most of the beasts were illiterate. It seemed that she could only do this kind of physical work herself. After taking the paper back from the Qilin clan leader, Lung Ruoxue smiled and said, I just wanted to show you my method. Let my beastie handle this. Earlier on, Baby had already sent her a voice transmission, telling her to let him handle this matter. Lung Ruoxue saw the troubled expression on the Qilin clan leader's face and naturally agreed. As expected, the Qilin clan leader's complexion improved upon hearing her words. Soon after, the little purple fox that had been released took the paper from its adorable master's hands and jumped onto Lung Ruoxue's shoulder. It then cleared its throat and poured its divine power into it before reading out loud, Wooly, you're a despicable, shameless, and ungrateful wretch. No wonder you're still married. No man will like an ugly monster like you. Even male beasts won't want you. The letter was recited for a long time. The voice was infused with the divine power of the treasure. Therefore, the voice traveled for a long time. It was not possible to say that the entire divine realm had received this message, but at least the various cities around the imperial city had heard it. Such provocative content quickly spread throughout the divine realm. The people in the imperial city who had witnessed the incident were so scared that their faces turned pale when they heard someone cursing the divine master in front of the divine master's estate. After they came back to their senses, they scattered. No one dared to stay here for a moment longer. Xian Yi and the other two, who had to stay behind, had a strange expression on their faces. Why did the tone of the voice sound so familiar? That Totoro? That's right. That was the Totoro's tone. It had to be said that Xian Yi and the other two were right. Song was the one who told Lung Ruoxue this. Because before coming here, Lung Ruoxue had sent a voice transmission to Azure, telling him that she was accompanying the Qilin clan leader to the Divine Lord's residence. Azure had told her a bunch of things, and she had asked Qing Ju to form a letter. This was how the current scene had come about. When the Qilin clan leader heard these shocking words, he looked at Lung Ruoxue in a different light. He couldn't help but think to himself, this girl really has a poisonous tongue. She's just rubbing salt into my wounds. It must be known that in their era, there were few people or beasts who didn't know about the little thoughts that Rhyme had for Suryu. In addition, Rhyme couldn't get what she wanted, and her love turned into hatred in a moment of anger. Of course, this was all in the past, but even if these things had happened a long time ago, it was likely that no one would dare to publicly announce this matter to the world. Everyone usually had a tacit understanding. Lung Ruoxue, who had seen through the Qilin clan leader's thoughts, smiled awkwardly and explained, this is all Azure's will. He said that when the Rhyme Ice hears this, even if it's on its last breath, it will be so angry that it will jump up from the ground. Indeed, the moment Lung Ruoxue's words left her mouth, the crowd heard a furious roar. How audacious! I'm going to kill you! It only took a few seconds for the red figure to turn from illusory to solid. As he spoke, a boundless pressure was directed at the treasure. Lung Ruoxue saw this and quickly blocked it. The Qilin clan leader also moved at the same time, protecting Leng Ruoxue and the little purple fox. At the same time, an icy blue arrow of light was shot straight towards the direction of Wu Jing. Wu Luan sensed the danger and dodged it quickly. After she steadied herself, her beautiful eyes were fixed on the Qilin clan leader. "Ice Spirit, you're still alive?" Wu Luan asked in surprise after seeing the man who attacked her. Chapter 2776, As Long as He's Alive, 1. Wu Yen was surprised to see the Ice Spirit. She thought that even if the Ice Spirit was not dead, it would not be alive and kicking in front of her. What was going on? As her beautiful eyes shifted to the side, Leng Ruoxue just happened to enter her line of sight. Instantly, her eyes burst out with a glint of extreme hatred. "Leng Ruoxue! Damn it, why is this bitch here?" And it was with Ice Spirit? If she was surprised to see only Ice Spirit, then when she saw Leng Ruoxue, the hatred in her heart was completely ignited. "Leng Ruoxue, you still dare to come?" Without giving the Qilin clan leader Bing per chance to speak, Wu Luan gritted her teeth and shouted at Leng Ruoxue. "Why wouldn't I dare to come?" Leng Ruoxue laughed lightly and said disapprovingly, "It looks like you're here to die. What? Song wasn't with you today, so you found Ice Spirit to back you up." Wu Jing was rather dissatisfied with the fact that Leng Ruoxue always had these fellows who she hated to the core protecting her. Damn it. When would Leng Ruoxue be able to come to her death alone? Song is busy building a relationship with the blood lotus flower that you've been coveting for a long time. Therefore, I could only find the Qilin clan's patriarch as my backer. Do you feel envious, jealous, and hateful? Leng Ruoxue laughed smugly and her words were filled with provocation. She was so angry that all the blood in Wu Ling's body started to rush to the top of her head. Her originally pale and beautiful little face was now flushed red because of her anger. Ice Soul, who was completely ignored by the side, felt extremely depressed when she saw Leng Ruoxue and Wu Xian having a verbal fight. This girl had stolen his limelight again. Originally, Wu Xian's attention was all on him, who knew that the moment she saw Leng Ruoxue, she would completely ignore him, causing him to not even have the chance to speak. This was really too much. Ice Spirit was furious. The consequences would be severe. Following that, he gently tugged at Leng Ruoxue's arm and whispered, "Girl, you've stolen my limelight again. You've gone too far. You should at least give me a chance to speak, right?" Ice Spirit's words were full of resentment, and there were tears in her eyes. When Leng Ruoxue saw this, black lines appeared on her forehead. She said helplessly, "All right, I'll shut my mouth, okay? After you're done with the mist, bitch, we'll settle our own." What debt do we have to settle? After hearing Leng Ruoxue's last sentence, Ice Soul asked dejectedly. He had never offended Leng Ruoxue. Why did this little girl want to settle the score with him? "I actually only knew your name from the enemy." Leng Ruoxue gritted her teeth. A name is just a code name. We beastie don't care about names the most, so you don't have to care about it. Besides, under normal circumstances, only my enemies would directly call me by my name. Ice Spirit said awkwardly. In reality, it wasn't that he didn't want to tell Leng Ruoxue his name, but that he had forgotten. After all, to someone who had been in a deep sleep for tens of thousands of years, a name and such were nothing. If it wasn't for the fact that Fog had called out the name Ice Spirit, he would have forgotten that he had a name. Is that so? Leng Ruoxue was doubtful. She felt that it was not that Bingpa did not care about the name, but that he had forgotten it. Her thoughts were indeed true. However, now was not the time to care about the name. Leng Ruoxue only glanced at the furious Wu Qin and pretended to be invisible, giving the right to speak to Ice Spirit. Ice Spirit gave Leng Ruoxue a satisfied look before turning to Ripple Mist. "Ripple Mist bitch, I'm the one looking for you today. So, we'll talk about your grudge with Leng Ruoxue later. Settle our grudge first. Do we have any grudges?" Ripple Mist played dumb. "Thanks, of course there is. Wuchen, it's useless to act stupid. You'd better face reality as soon as possible." Ice Spirit reminded. However, Wu Yen didn't take it to heart and laughed wildly. "Ha! Ice Spirit, you want to ask about your son, right? You think he'll tell you? You will. You will definitely boast to me about what you have done to my son, so that I will be in so much pain that I wish I were dead. I'll give you a chance now, hurry up and make me suffer. Come on. Don't waste everyone's time. Ice Spirit said confidently. In the end, she even took the initiative to urge him. These words made Lung Ruox's forehead fill with black lines. What was this? To stimulate the miasma? Lung Ruoxue was looking forward to Wu Ling's reaction when she heard this. As expected, Wu Chen did not disappoint Lung Ruoxue. Very quickly, Wu Chen shouted in anger, Ice Spirit, I know you're goading me. Do you think he'll fall for it? You won't fall for it? When did you become so smart? Ice Spirit asked in surprise. Ripple was almost driven mad by Ice Spirit's sarcastic tone. She pointed at Ice Spirit with her long finger and was unable to complete her sentence. Ice Spirit didn't care and continued, Do you want to know how I got better? I heard that your injuries aren't light either. You must be very curious, right? How did you get better? Wu Jing immediately asked after hearing this. Obviously, she was more interested in this topic. You want to know? Ice Spirit deliberately kept her in suspense. Bastard! Hurry up and tell me. Wu Xian said somewhat anxiously. Please say it. Do I have to say it if you want me to? Then he'll lose face. The Ice Spirit Chi said. If you tell me, I'll tell you where your son is. How about it? Wu Xiao began to talk about the conditions. I don't trust you unless you tell me first. Ice Spirit shook her head in disbelief. Wu Yen was furious again. She didn't expect that the Ice Soul, which she hadn't seen for tens of thousands of years, would become so cunning. Lung Ruoxue must have taught him that. The innocent Lung Ruoxue was implicated and she could clearly feel Wu Xian's knife-like fierce gaze shooting towards her. However, she was already used to Wu Xian's anger, so she was extremely calm. How is it? Do you agree? Ice Spirit asked again when she saw that Wu Xiao didn't react very well. Good. I agree. Helplessly, Wu Yen compromised. Then say it. I'm all ears. Ice Spirit said calmly. In fact, he was extremely nervous, but he didn't show it. Your bastard is already dead. Back then, I threw it to the lower realm when it was still an egg. Without your Qilin clan's nurturing, it would have no way of living, so I advise you to give up. You won't be able to see that bastard again in this lifetime. Ha! Wu Xiao laughed very proudly. Ice Spirit's face turned pale after hearing this. Although he had been prepared that his son might not be in this world anymore, he still had a glimmer of hope since he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. However, he couldn't take it anymore after hearing Wu Mo's words. Therefore, in the next moment, he flew into a rage and rushed directly in the direction of the fog. Wu Qing, you killed my son. I won't let you off. Chapter 2777. As long as he's alive, too. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue hurriedly stopped Ice Spirit, who had gone a little crazy from the provocation, and questioned him loudly, Senior Ice Soul, do you believe the words of that mist ripple bitch so easily? Then you're too easy to fool. Upon hearing this, Ice Soul miraculously calmed down. She opened her bloodshot and dazed eyes and turned to look at Lung Ruoxue. You're saying that she might be lying to me on purpose? Lung Ruoxue nodded seriously. No matter if the ripple mist bitch was telling the truth or not, she didn't want Ice Spirit to act rashly at this time. They couldn't just believe whatever the ripple mist bitch said. Wouldn't that be falling right into her trap? Lung Ruoxue didn't want to let that ripple witch get too smug. However, Wu Jing was obviously restless. Seeing that Ice Spirit had calmed down, she continued to provoke him. Ice Soul, why would I lie to you about this? I'm still waiting for your healing method. I'll believe you if you show me the evidence. Ice Spirit said calmly. You want evidence? Alright, take a look for yourself. Then, she threw a piece of memory water to Ice Soul. Ice Soul looked at it and his expression changed again. Where does this lead to? Ice Spirit asked after reading it. I don't know. I just randomly found a passage and threw the egg down. How would I know where it will fall? But I'm sure it's not going to survive. Wu Ling said confidently. She dared to say this because she wasn't afraid of the Ice Soul's anger. It was the ice soul that wanted to know the answer. I've already told you what you wanted to know. Now, it's your turn to say it. Good. In fact, I only recovered from my injuries because I ate a reincarnation pill. Ice Spirit seemed to be sincere. But when Ripple Mist heard this, her eyes immediately lit up and she asked, "What about the reincarnation pill? Is there any more?" With the reincarnation pill, she didn't have to worry about her injuries. In the past, she also had a reincarnation pill in her hand. However, that stupid pill ran away and there was no news of it until now. She didn't know if the reincarnation pill that was eaten by the Ice Soul was the same as the one she had. What do you think the reincarnation pill is? How could there be more? Ice Soul snorted. Then where did the reincarnation pill that you ate come from? Wu Jing finally asked the question she was most interested in. Of course it's something our Qilin clan found an alchemist to refine. What, do you also want it? Let's slowly collect the herbs first. When I've collected enough herbs, you'll just find a random alchemist to refine it for you. Ice Spirit said. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue broke out in cold sweat. It seemed like Bingpo was not someone to be fooled. Ripple used an illusory answer in exchange for a watered-down answer. This was fair. However, Lung Ruoxue still wanted to provoke Wu Ling, so she interrupted with a smile. The reincarnation pill that Senior Ice Soul ate was refined by me. What, you want it too? It's a pity that I can't make it for you. You... Lung Ruoxue's words angered Ripple Mist once more. Ice Soul, who was at the side, broke out in cold sweat. He didn't mention the alchemy master who refined the reincarnation pill because he was afraid that Wu Xian would find trouble with this girl. Who knew that she would expose herself? It seemed that this little girl also liked to stir up trouble. Thanks, it turned out that the Ice Spirit was real. Not only did Lung Ruoxue like to see the world in chaos, but she was also willing to provoke Wu Ling. Seeing that Wu Ling's expression was rather ugly, she continued to provoke. In addition, as far as I know, in the entire divine realm, no one can refine the reincarnation pill except me. Therefore, you should give up the idea of collecting herbs and looking for an alchemist to refine the reincarnation pill. By the way, Azure wants me to send you its regards and wish you never to recover. By the time Lung Ruoxue was done speaking, Wu Ice's face had turned from white to red, red to green, green to black. Her entire face was like a color palette, and the colors on it were quite interesting. Without giving Wu Xian a chance to speak, Lung Ruoxue turned to Ice Spirit. Senior, what are we going to do next? What else do you want to do? Wu Chen was so angry that he was about to explode. Ice Spirit was speechless for a while before he said, "Let's go back first." All right. Although Lung Ruoxue was not sure why Ice Spirit left, she was still very cooperative. After that, the two of them turned around and walked towards the city gate as if there was no one else around. Wu Ling was so angry that she was panting heavily. She felt the blood in her chest churning and a sense of dizziness struck her. Hence, she did not have the mood to order people to stop the unbridled Lung Ruoxue and Ice Spirit. She immediately teleported and disappeared. Looking at the two guys who had come to make trouble and left safely, Xian Yi and the other two were speechless. These two people were really too rampant, right? However, Wu Xiao was not going to be attacked by them, so they naturally would not meddle in her business. After that, the three of them glanced indifferently at the unconscious leader of the men in black who had been abandoned on the ground. They turned around and entered the God Lord's estate, which no longer had a door. As for Lung Ruoxue, after she left with Ice Spirit, she had been wondering why this man had suddenly decided to leave. Logically speaking, after knowing the enemy who killed his son, even if he couldn't kill him now, he should at least cause some trouble for the other party, right? However, the Ice Spirit left just like that. What was even more strange was that Wu Chen didn't stop him. It looked like that bitch's injuries weren't light. Lung Ruoxue, who had a few question marks in her heart, finally could not help but ask after the two of them left the Imperial City, "Are we just going to leave like this? What else? Fight with Wu Yen and then both of you will be injured?" Ice Soul smiled and asked, "What I mean is, even if we can't kill Wu Chen now, we can at least give her some trouble." Lung Ruoxue said, feeling a little embarrassed. "Little girl, our appearance has already made her so angry that she's about to vomit blood. So, we really don't have to fight her head-on at this time. You know, a thin camel is still bigger than a horse. I'm not at my peak right now, and you're only a divine emperor. Besides, I've already asked what I wanted to know, so there's no need for me to stay in your city. Ice Spirit said calmly. So, you believe her words? By the way, what's in the memory crystal she gave you? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Ice Spirit's eyes darkened. He then passed the memory crystal that Wu Xiao had given him to Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue took a look at it. It showed that Ripple was standing on a cliff, holding an icy blue egg in her hand. Then she threw the egg down. She threw the egg down the cliff? Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. Didn't that woman say that she had thrown the egg into the lower realm? Little girl, that's not a cliff. It's a passage leading to the lower realm. I just don't know where my son has been thrown. Ice Spirit said sadly. You plan to go down and find it? Lung Ruoxue could tell what Bingpo was thinking. At this moment, she also understood that if Ice Spirit didn't have a glimmer of hope in her son, she wouldn't have left Yu City so easily. Chapter 2778, As Long as He's Alive, 3, It seems that I can't hide anything from you. Little girl, I'm planning to go to the lower realm to look for it. As a descendant of the Qilin, I can't let it die outside. I want to see the beast if it's alive, and I want to see its corpse if it's dead. Ice Spirit nodded. If he didn't want to find his son, how could he let go of Wu Qin so easily? When she heard Ice Spirit's words, she knew that Ice Spirit was just trying to calm her down by saying that he didn't want to fight with Fog. In fact, she was not that impulsive. After some thought, Lung Ruoxue asked carefully, Senior, I wonder if your son has any special characteristics? Characteristics? I don't know. When he was stolen by Wu Ya, my son was still an unborn egg, so I really don't know what characteristics he has. But I think he should be the same as me, an Ice Qilin. Even though she did not understand why Lung Ruoxue asked this question, Ice Soul still answered truthfully after thinking about it. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. What was the difference between this and not saying anything? However, she did not give up and continued to ask, Senior, don't you Qilins have horns? No? What's wrong? Seeing that Lung Ruoxue's questions were getting stranger, Ice Soul started to suspect something. Are you sure? Lung Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes as she asked. The reason why she asked this was because she suddenly thought of Bing Yi. However, that little fellow had a white jade-like horn on its head, which was obviously not in line with the appearance of the Qilin clan. Hence, Lung Ruoxue was not sure if Bing Yi was related to the Qilin clan. However, she was certain that the Ice Phoenix was a Qilin. That little fellow could also confirm his own identity. I'm sure. An adult Qilin definitely doesn't have horns, but a young Qilin does. However, after we grow up, our horns will fall off on their own. That is also a sign of maturity for the Qilin clan. Ice Spirit said after some serious thought. Hearing his words, Lung Ruoxue's eyes lit up. She knew it. The Ice Phoenix was definitely a Qilin. Little girl, why do you ask? Ice Soul asked suspiciously when she noticed Lung Ruoxue's abnormal reaction. I'm just curious. Lung Ruoxue replied calmly, then asked, Senior, I heard from that Kirin bitch that without your Qilin race's nourishment, the little Qilin in the egg can't survive. Is that true? It's true. When a young Qilin is born, it requires a lot of spiritual energy and our Qilin's own blood qi. If there is no blood qi and only spiritual energy, the growth of the young Qilin will be very slow. If it can't be born for a long time, it will suffocate in the egg one day. Therefore, the nurturing of the Qilin clan itself is very important. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lost my mind instantly after listening to Wu Cheng's words. Ice Soul said sadly, Is there no other way to ensure little Qilin's survival? Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. There is, but the Qilin clan is proud. Even a young Qilin would not do that. Ice Soul sighed. What is it? Lung Ruoxue asked shamelessly as she saw how unclear Bing Pio's words were. Find a human to recognize as its master. Ice Spirit said honestly. This way, the little Qilin in the egg won't die? Lung Ruoxue confirmed once again. Yes, but after recognizing a human as its master, there is no way for the Qilin to be accepted by its clansmen. Therefore, our Qilin clan basically won't find a human master for ourselves. Ice Spirit said honestly. What if, and him saying what if, in order to survive, your son finds himself a human master? Lung Ruoxue probed. Although she wasn't sure if Bing Yao was related to Bing Po by blood, she felt that she had to figure it out for Bing Po who had lost his son or for Bing Yao. If that's the case, I'd be glad instead. Ice Spirit said. Then, she sighed and continued, little girl, it's been so many years. In fact, I don't dare to hold any hope for my son's survival, but there's always a trace of concern in my heart that I hope he can live well. I've let down this son of mine. Back then, in order to not be controlled by the fog, I decisively gave up on him, so I really don't have the right to let him acknowledge me again. Now, my only hope is that he can live well, even if it acknowledges a human master. At least that way, he still has the hope of survival. As long as he's alive, that's good. Ice Spirit choked as he added. His eyes were filled with tears. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she felt bad. The Ice Spirit now was just an ordinary father who wanted his child to live well. He had no other requests for his only son. As long as his son could live, he would be satisfied even if he didn't acknowledge him. What a deep fatherly love this was. Although Ice Soul felt guilty about what had happened back then, Lung Ruoxue did not think that he had made any serious mistakes. He just did not want his people to be controlled by fog. Thus, he would rather sacrifice his unborn son to fight for a chance of survival for the Qilin clan. Lung Ruoxue admitted that she couldn't do such a righteous thing. However, as a similarly proud person, Lung Ruoxue could understand him. She was also very clear that if she was in Bing Pio's position back then, she would have made the same choice. Thanks, the dignity of the strong could not be blasphemed by anyone. That was her thought. Nothing else. Now that she had learned from Ice Spirit's example, Lung Ruoxue's desire to become a true expert was even stronger. Only by becoming an expert strong enough to contend against the fog ripple could she and the people around her live freely in the divine realm. Otherwise, the unstable element of the fog ripple would disturb them sooner or later. Lung Ruoxue admitted that she wasn't someone who would take a beating from the back. She wouldn't wait for someone to provoke her to the door before retaliating. Therefore, the fate of the Qilin clan had also strengthened her determination to cultivate. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue's aura changed. Ice Spirit was surprised to see this. He did not know what Lung Ruoxue had suddenly thought of that caused her to be so excited. Little girl, what's wrong? Ice Spirit ignored her sadness and looked at Lung Ruoxue with concern. It's nothing. I just thought of the threat of rhyme ice and felt that I should work hard on my cultivation. I don't want her to harm the people around me. Lung Ruoxue said with determination. You should work hard on your cultivation. However, you should let nature take its course on the path of cultivation. You can't be too eager for quick success. Otherwise, it will only backfire. Ice Spirit asked worriedly. Lung Ruoxue nodded and said, Senior, you must be curious as to why I asked that question, right? Yep. Little girl, can you answer my question now? Ice Soul smiled. Sure. In fact, I also know an Ice Qilin. I met it in the lower realm. Lung Ruoxue nodded. What did you just say? Upon hearing this, Ice Soul's eyes widened in excitement. She looked at Lung Ruoxue in disbelief. He didn't hear wrong, did he? Did this little girl say that she knew an Ice Qilin? And they met in the lower realm? I said I know an Ice Qilin, and I met it in the lower realm. Lung Ruoxue repeated when she saw that Ice Spirit was in disbelief. What does the Ice Qilin look like? Does she look like me? Ice Spirit quickly asked. When Lung Ruoxue heard this question, she was extremely conflicted. What did he look like? What could she say? In her eyes, weren't all Qilins the same? How could she tell if they looked like each other? Senior, the Ice Qilin I know should still be a child. After hesitating for a moment, Lung Ruoxue decided to tell the truth. Childhood? The age doesn't match. If my son was still alive, he would be an adult by now. Upon hearing that the ice Qilin that Lung Ruoxue knew was still young, Ice Soul was extremely disappointed. No wonder Lung Ruoxue had asked him if the Qilin had horns. Now, he could finally match it. I see. Does Senior still want to see the Qilin I know? Lung Ruoxue asked, even though she could hear the disappointment in Ice Spirit's voice. Let's meet. After all, it's a cub of our Qilin clan, so it has to return to the Qilin clan. Ice Spirit said after thinking. I'm afraid it can't go back. It has acknowledged a human as its master. Lung Ruoxue replied honestly. So that's how it is. Little girl, you asked so many questions before because of this, right? Now, Ice Spirit was even more clear. In my heart, I hoped that Bing Yao could find his home and also hoped that Senior could find his long-lost son, but now it seems that this was clearly my wishful thinking. Lung Ruoxue was also a little disappointed. No matter what, I still have to thank you. Ice Spirit was very grateful for Lung Ruoxue's thoughtfulness. He then said, Little girl, you said that little guy is called Bing Yao? Is it your beastie? No, it's my friendess. However, the Ice Phoenix also lives with me, but it's now in closed-door cultivation with Master. If Senior wants to see it, I can wake it up. Lung Ruoxue smiled. You'll see it before I leave. Little girl, it'll have to trouble you. Ice Spirit agreed. Senior, let's find a quiet place. Lung Ruoxue suggested. At the same time, she sent a voice transmission to Qingju, asking him to help wake Bing Yao up. Ice Spirit nodded and brought Lung Ruoxue to a remote mountain that he knew of. Lung Ruoxue looked at the huge, dense branches and leaves that blocked out the sky. She thought to herself, this is indeed a quiet place. However, the light here was completely blocked. Although it was not impossible to see one's fingers, it was still a little difficult to see the other party clearly. Chapter 2779, The Awkward Ice Spirit, 1. This place is really well hidden. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly after observing the surroundings. Of course, other than me, no one else knows about this place. So, it's absolutely safe here. Ice Spirit said proudly after listening to Lung Ruoxue. Seeing that Ice Spirit was obviously showing off, Lung Ruoxue was even more speechless. After communicating with Qingju and finding out that he had awakened Bing Yao, Lung Ruoxue shifted Bing Yao out of the bracelet. Then, an icy blue fur ball suddenly pounced into her arms and affectionately rubbed against her beautiful face. It even shouted passionately, Little Shue Shue, little Bing Bing missed you so much. Did you really miss me? Lung Ruoxue feigned disbelief. Of course it's real. It's more real than diamonds. Bing Yao raised one of his little hooves and made a vow. There was a sad expression on his face. So, how could little Shue Shue not believe him? Were they that close? Seeing the pitiful look on Bing Yao's face, Lung Ruoxue rubbed the soft fur on its head and teased, Little Bing Bing, you've gained weight again. How could this be? I've been sleeping for so long and I haven't eaten anything? Bing Yao's eyes widened in disbelief as she spoke with a terrified expression. Getting fat was definitely a rather serious problem. If it was so fat that its original appearance could not be seen, it would definitely affect its majestic and mighty image. Moreover, little Shue Shue had an excuse not to hold it, but that was not good. In an instant, Bing Yao thought of many things. She became more and more frightened and almost cried. Little Shue Shue, you're wrong. I didn't get fat. Bing Yao quibbled guiltily. Lying is not a good child. I can't carry you anymore. Haven't you gained weight? Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly and teased. I didn't get fat. I'm not fat. You're the one who lost weight. So, little Shue Shue, you can't wrong me. The moment Bing Yao heard this, he couldn't care about anything else and could only defend himself as much as possible, innocently pushing the blame onto Lung Ruoxue. When Lung Ruoxue heard its words, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. After not seeing her for a long time, why did Bing Yao become more and more adorable? Little Shue Shue, you're a bad guy. How dare you laugh at me? At this moment, Bing Yao could tell that Lung Ruoxue was toying with him and instantly became worried. Little Shue had been corrupted. She must have learned it from that demonic man. Bing Yao, I haven't seen you for a long time. I missed you. Seeing that Bing Yao was a little angry, Leng Ruoxue quickly coaxed her. I missed you too, Bing Yao said very emotionally. However, it had to accompany its master, because its master was too lonely. By the way, little Shue, did you ask Qing Ju to wake me up because you missed me too much? Bing Yao asked again with a little pride. However, I also want you to meet someone. After being intimate with Bing Yao, Leng Ruoxue finally remembered the existence of Ice Soul. She turned her beautiful eyes towards Ice Soul. Then she was stunned. What's wrong with Ice Spirit? At this moment, Bing Po was in a dazed state. He stood there in a daze and stared unwaveringly at Bing Yao in Leng Ruoxue's arms. His eyes were glistening with tears. Very quickly, tears began to flow down his cheeks. What was going on? Leng Ruoxue was a little lost. Could it be Senior? Leng Ruoxue walked over to Ice Soul and nudged him gently. Thanks, little girl. Can I hug this little guy? Ice Spirit woke up and asked anxiously. Leng Ruoxue could not make the decision. Turning to look at Bing Yao, Leng Ruoxue waited for it to make its own decision. Bing Yao tilted her head and studied Bing Po. This guy's aura was somewhat familiar. Who is he? Looking at Leng Ruoxue, Bing Yao asked her with her eyes. This senior is the Qilin clan's clan leader. He's from the same clan as you. Leng Ruoxue gave a simple introduction. Oh. Bing Yao nodded. He understood now. They were of the same race. No wonder the aura gave it a sense of déjà vu. Since they were of the same race, she would let him hug her if he wanted to. The Ice Phoenix thought to itself very kindly. In fact, it had a very good impression of this strange man in front of it. In the next second, Bing Yao jumped into Ice Spirit's arms. Ice Spirit hugged the heavy Ice Phoenix, tears flowing from her eyes. As Leng Ruoxue witnessed this scene, her suspicions grew. However, Bing Po did not say anything. She hugged Bing Yao tightly. Bing Yao was in a dazed state. At that moment, Leng Ruoxue could only suppress her questions and wait for Bing Po to explain to her. Unfortunately, after waiting for a long time, Leng Ruoxue did not receive an explanation from Ice Spirit. After a long time, Ice Spirit finally said, "Let this little fellow follow me back to the Qilin clan to stay for a while. The Ice Phoenix has to agree to this. I can't make the decision for it." Leng Ruoxue replied without even thinking. Yes. Bing Po nodded and asked Bing Jie. Bing Jie, are you willing to follow me back to the Qilin clan to have a look? Sure, but I want little Shue to go with me. Bing Yao didn't refuse, and even thought that he was smart enough to get himself a little companion. According to its thinking, it shouldn't leave with strangers. However, this stranger gave it a very familiar feeling, so it wanted to go back with him. However, it didn't want to go back alone, so it could only pull Leng Ruoxue along. No problem, he said. Ice Spirit nodded. As long as this little fellow was willing to return to the clan with him, he would agree to any condition. Just like that, Leng Ruoxue became the background of Bing Yao as she followed Bing Po back to the Qilin clan. When the two humans and the cub returned to the Qilin clan, they immediately caused a huge commotion. Especially Fire Yu and the Great Elder, when they saw Ice Spirit, they immediately cried and complained, "Clan leader, you've finally returned. Why? Do you wish for me to not return?" Ice Spirit said coldly, "Clan leader, we didn't mean it that way. We're just worried about your safety." First Elder Qilin quickly explained, "I can't let the clan leader misunderstand. What about the clansmen he and Fire Guangdong had sent out? Chief, where are the other clansmen?" The Qilin Grand Elder couldn't help but ask. "What other clansmen?" Ice Spirit asked in confusion. "After you and Miss Leng left, we immediately sent some clansmen to assist you." The Qilin Grand Elder explained. "We didn't see a single one." Ice Spirit said truthfully, but he couldn't help but snort in his heart. "Assistance?" She said it so nicely, but she was probably worried about his skills and afraid that something would happen to him. Although the Qilin Great Elder and Huayu had good intentions, Ice Soul felt that their actions were unnecessary. Think about it. If he himself was in danger, would the other clansmen be safe? One had to know that even if he hadn't recovered to his peak state, his strength was still one of the best in the Qilin clan. Chapter 2780, The Awkward Ice Spirit, 2. How did this happen? The Qilin First Elder was completely stunned. Great Elder, we really didn't see them. Lung Ruoxue chimed in. How could this be? Miss Lung, you're back too? The First Elder of the Qilin clan seemed to be talking to himself. He then realized that the person who had spoken was Lung Ruoxue. However, his reaction made Lung Ruoxue feel rather depressed. From the looks of it, she had become completely invisible in the Qilin clan. However, this invisibility was a little too thorough. In his eyes, there was no place for anyone else other than his great clan leader. I'm back. I came back with Bing Yao. Lung Ruoxue sighed deeply before she spoke. Ice Phoenix. At this time, the head elder's gaze gradually moved down, only to discover the ice-blue little Qilin that was sleeping soundly in the clan leader's arms. Who was this little guy? Their little prince? The Qilin Great Elder was very smart. He knew that there must be some inside information if the clan leader didn't take the initiative to introduce him. Therefore, he didn't voice his doubts and only used his eyes to ask his clan leader. However, Ice Spirit did not respond to him. Instead, she carried the Ice Phoenix and walked away. The Qilin Grand Elder looked at Ice Spirit's back and became deeply worried. Miss Lung, what is the relationship between that little Qilin and my clan head? Since he couldn't get an answer from the clan leader, the Qilin clan's Great Elder could only turn to ask Lung Ruoxue. I don't know, Lung Ruoxue said irresponsibly. With that, she turned and left. Lung Ruoxue went back to the courtyard she used to stay in. For the next few days, Lung Ruoxue did not see Bing Yao again. At this time, Uncle Long and the others, who had been unconscious for several days, also woke up. When they woke up, they found themselves in Shui-Er's space. Uncle Long and the others were surprised, but they knew that Shui-Er must have moved them in. After asking Shui-Er to move them out of the dimension, Uncle Long and the others looked at the familiar room and living room. They asked curiously, Shui-Er, isn't the Qilin clan leader going to U-City? You haven't set off yet? We're all back. Lung Ruoxue replied helplessly. When the few people present heard this, they were all depressed. It seemed that they had missed the excitement again. Drinking is a bad thing. Shui-Er, when are we going home? Uncle Long asked again. I don't know. They'll have to wait for the Qilin clan leader to return Bing Yao to me. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Bing Yao had been taken away by the Qilin clan leader for a few days, and there had been no news from her. Ice Phoenix? That little fellow is awake? First Elder immediately replied. I woke him up. I wanted to let the Qilin clan leader see Bing Yao, but he took Bing Yao as his own and didn't want to return it to me. Lung Ruoxue said with a face full of frustration. More importantly, Ice Spirit's mouth was shut tightly like a clamshell, not saying a word. She could only let her imagination run wild. That little guy is non-existent, and now you've lost him. How are you going to explain this to him when he wakes up? When First Elder heard this, he couldn't help but remind. Thanks, although he had not spent much time with Wu and Bing Yao, he still recognized the man and beast. Master Ning also recognized him. Hearing the Great Elder say this, he couldn't help but worry. What are you guys talking about? Uncle Long was a little confused. Who is Bing Yao? Who is Wu? He had no idea at all. I'm not little Shui-Er's friend. I have a little Qilin in my hands, but now that little Qilin is in the hands of the Qilin clan leader, I can't get it back. The Great Elder explained. This time, the confused people finally understood. Shui-Er, is there any relationship between the little Qilin called Bing Yi and the Qilin clan leader? After figuring out these strange relationships, Uncle Long asked the most important question. I don't know. That old Qilin has kept his mouth shut. He won't say anything. Lung Ruoxue said gloomily. Then what does he mean by monopolizing the Ice Phoenix? Uncle Long was also confused. I suspect that Bing Yao is his child. Lung Ruoxue stated her guess. Of course, she had yet to verify it. No way? If the Qilin clan leader finds out that his son has acknowledged a human as his master, wouldn't that? The Grand Elder was a little worried. These top-grade beasts were the proudest and couldn't tolerate their offspring being contracted by humans. Therefore, he didn't need to think to guess the anger of the Qilin clan leader when he found out about this. Of course, the premise was that Bing Yao was really someone else's child. Don't worry. If that's the case, the Qilin clan leader would be grateful. Because if it wasn't for Wu, Bing Yao would have died long ago. Lung Ruoxue said in understanding. Then, she recounted what had happened to Uncle Long and the others. After hearing this, everyone finally understood the cause and effect. Shui, didn't the Ice Soul clan leader say anything after seeing Bing Yao? The master of the Ning family asked curiously. He didn't say, but based on his condition at that time, I think he and Bing Yao should be related. Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Shui, you're right. The little Qilin named Bing Yi and the Ice Soul clan's leader must be father and son. Uncle Long said with certainty. What? Seeing how confident Uncle Long was, Lung Ruoxue couldn't understand. Little girl, for us beastie, the connection between parents and children is our instinct. Therefore, we know very well which little beast is our offspring and we will never mistake it for anything else. I think Senior Ice Soul must have recognized that the Ice Phoenix is his child, which is why he was so excited. Uncle Long explained. But Senior Ice Soul said that his child should be an adult already. Furthermore, Bing Yao didn't sense the father-son relationship between them. Lung Ruoxue voiced her doubts. I don't know why the Ice Phoenix wasn't an adult yet, but the Ice Phoenix didn't sense the father-son relationship between them. It must have something to do with the fact that it had never seen its parents. After all, it was just an egg at that time, so it was understandable that it couldn't sense them so accurately. However, when it sees Senior Ice Soul, it will definitely feel a sense of familiarity. This is the nature of a father and son. Uncle Long said. No wonder. Lung Ruoxue was pretty sure that it was true after hearing what Uncle Long said. When Bing Yao first saw Bing Pe, she was indeed very willing to get close to her. However, this was only their speculation. The Ice Spirit had not confirmed it yet, so it did not matter what they thought. Now, they could only wait for Ice Spirit to tell them the truth. Who knew that half a month's time would pass just like this? In the end, Lung Ruoxue couldn't take it anymore. She went to find the Great Elder of the Qilin clan and asked him to tell Bing Pe that she was going home with Bing Yao. Make the other party return the Ice Phoenix. Even though the Qilin Great Elder was put in a difficult position, he still reported Lung Ruoxue's words truthfully. When Ice Spirit heard this, she immediately went to look for Lung Ruoxue. When Lung Ruoxue saw Ice Spirit, she sneered. Is the Ice Soul clan's leader finally willing to show himself? Chapter 2781. The Awkward Ice Spirit. 3. How detestable. It was really too detestable. This fellow was clearly in the clan, but when she went to see him, she was told by the guards that the clan leader was not around. What the hell is he not in? Why did it come out so quickly this time? Lung Ruoxue was furious. Can you let Bing Yao stay for a few more days? Ignoring Lung Ruoxue's anger, Ice Soul asked directly. What's the reason? It's been so long, Bing Yao should come home with me. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Its home is in the Qilin clan. Ice Soul said. You're wrong. It's always lived with us, so its home is naturally in Demon City, Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. It's a Qilin. Ice Spirit reminded. But it has already recognized a human as its master. Didn't you say that a Qilin that has recognized a human as its master would not be accepted by the Qilin clan? Since that was the case, why let it stay in the Qilin clan and suffer the discrimination? That's why I think it's better for Bing Yao to leave with me. Of course, if the Ice Soul clan's leader misses the Ice Phoenix, you can come to Demon City to see it at any time. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. She didn't believe that she couldn't force Ice Spirit to tell the truth. I'll go with you to Demon City. Ice Spirit said helplessly. Lung Ruoxue really wanted to scold Qilin. She had already said so. Why was this Qilin, whose mouth was even tighter than a clamshell, still so pretentious. Would it kill you to tell the truth and say that Bing Yao is your child? Lung Ruoxue was unable to deal with Ice Spirit's sudden embarrassment. What was she trying to do? Taking a deep breath, Lung Ruoxue nodded and said, "In that case, please come with us, Ice Soul Clan leader." After getting her Ice Phoenix back, she had even managed to get the Qilin clan leader to be her bodyguard. Lung Ruoxue felt that this was not a bad deal. Ice Spirit nodded and left. After he left, Uncle Long and the others, who had been watching from the side, couldn't help but sigh and say, "Shuer, are you really bringing him back?" "Yes, since this is his choice, we can't do anything about it," Lung Ruoxue said gloomily. Not long after, Ice Spirit came back with the listless Ice Phoenix. The moment she saw Lung Ruoxue, Bing Yao immediately became excited as if she had been injected with chicken blood. She shouted agitatedly, "Little Shue, save me. This pervert is torturing me to death." After Bing Yao finished shouting, he even started wailing. Lung Ruoxue was speechless when she saw this. What was going on? When Ice Spirit heard Bing Yao's words, his face darkened and he said angrily, "I'm doing this for your good. Look at your strength. You've made the entire Qilin clan lose face. I don't have any clansmen. What does it have to do with you whether I'm embarrassed or not? I don't like to cultivate. I only like to eat and sleep. What's it to you? Aren't you being a little too nosy, you strange uncle? Little Shue, help." The Ice Phoenix retorted angrily. It then extended its hooves towards Lung Ruoxue, hoping that she could save it from its demonic claws. Previously, it felt that this strange man gave it a very friendly feeling, making it have a good impression of him, but now it knew that it was wrong. What kind of friendly feelings? All of you get lost. Anyone who didn't let it eat more or sleep well was its enemy. Therefore, from the moment this strange man urged it to cultivate, it had secretly hated this man who had turned from friendly to annoying. Who said you don't have any clansmen? All the Qilins here are your clansmen, so you must work hard to learn how to become a great Qilin. You can't be as reckless as you were before. Bing Yao's words made Bing Pio's face filled with disappointment. I have no interest in becoming the great Qilin. I just want to be like before, so don't worry about me. You're nobody to me. What right do you have to dictate my future? Uncle, you're being too nosy. Bing Yao roared. He was so angry that all the hair on his body stood up. When Lung Ruoxue, Uncle Long, and the rest saw this, they couldn't help but give Bing Yao a thumbs up. Good job, little fellow. Look at how angry the Qilin clan leader was. His face was even darker than the bottom of a pot. Thanks among them, Lung Ruoxue felt that it was the best way to vent her hatred. Who asked you to be so hesitant and not reveal Bing Yao's identity? Now, this is great. You let Bing Yao, this little fellow, turn the tables on you, right? In this world, what could hurt a father's heart more than a son complaining that his father was too controlling? Lung Ruoxue was sure that Bing Po was already in tears. It had to be said that Lung Ruoxue was right. Bing Pio's heart was hurt by Bing Yao's words, "Uncle, none of your business," but he couldn't bring himself to say it. In reality, it was just as Lung Ruoxue had guessed. Bing Yao was Bing Pio's child who had been thrown into the lower realm by Wu Imo. Bing Pa had recognized Bing Yao the moment he saw her. However, he had not expected that his child, who should have been an adult, was still not fully mature. He knew that this was related to the Ice Phoenix's inborn deficiency. Even though the Ice Phoenix recognized a human as its master and saved its life, as a Qilin, the Ice Phoenix was still a little weak. This made it feel extremely guilty, so much so that it couldn't tell the Ice Phoenix that it was its father and that it wasn't an orphan. Originally, he had also tested the Ice Phoenix a few times, wanting to see if it wanted to know who its parents were. Who would have thought that the Ice Phoenix didn't care at all? It even told him that it was enough as long as it had its master and little Shue. It didn't need parents. This fact made Bing Pa even more worried. At the same time, he became envious and jealous of Bing Yao's master and Lung Ruoxue, whom he had never met before. This was why he had not allowed Lung Ruoxue and Bing Yao to meet these few days. Even when he saw Lung Ruoxue, he could not give her a good look. He was jealous. What right did that little girl have to hold such an important place in his son's heart? He was not even the master of his son, which made him feel even more unbalanced. However, Bing Yao's indifference to her background made him even more afraid to speak the truth, and the fear in his heart only increased. He was really afraid that if Bing Yao knew his background and the fact that he was abandoned, she would hate him, her father. As such, he felt even more awkward. Apart from awkwardness, there was also a deep sorrow. The temperature around him had also dropped a lot because of the low air pressure he had suddenly released. Lung Ruoxue could clearly feel the cold, and seeing this pair of seemingly father and son like fighting roosters, she could only helplessly step forward, wanting to rescue Bing Yao. However, Bing Pe, who was also holding on to the ice phoenix, refused to let go. Lung Ruoxue and Bing Po were in a stalemate. When they saw Lung Ruoxue hugging Bing Yao's upper body, Bing Yao's front hooves clasped onto Lung Ruoxue's neck, while Bing Po hugged Bing Yao's lower body tightly, creating a distance between the three of them. Uncle Long and the rest had no choice but to step forward and grab Bing Po's arm. "Senior, please let go. Even the ice phoenix is uncomfortable. Why should I let go? Why isn't it this girl who let go?" Ice Spirit said indignantly. "Because Bing Yao is not on your side." Uncle Long sighed inwardly, but he still smiled and said, "Senior, you should respect Bing Yao's choice." "That's right, Uncle, I don't like you anymore. Let go of me and mind my business. Otherwise, I'll bite you." Bing Yao gave Uncle Long a look of praise after hearing what he said. Then he shouted at Bing Pe angrily. "Bing Yao, I'm doing this for your own good. Why can't you understand?" Ice Spirit said helplessly. There seemed to be a flash of pain in her eyes. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she smiled faintly and said, "Senior, any elder would say that their actions or requests are for the good of the younger generation, but have you ever thought that forcing your own thoughts on others is really for their own good?" The Ice Phoenix was no longer a child. It had the right to choose the life it wanted. Perhaps you think that its strength isn't high and that it's a disgrace to the Qilin clan, but I think that it's fine like this because this is the way it likes to live. It's all because you've spoiled it to this state. As soon as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, Ice Spirit's voice of dissatisfaction rang out. "All right, even if I spoil it, you can't deny that it likes this kind of life." Lung Ruoxue was helpless against Ice Spirit's stubbornness. She could only continue to reason with him. "Yes, I like this kind of carefree life. Uncle, if you want to do something, then you should do something about your Qilin clan's little Qilin. Don't always expect me to get along with them. I can't get along with them. Those of different paths cannot conspire together." Bing Yao was very cooperative with Lung Ruoxue. "Bing Yao," Ice Spirit tried to persuade her, but she was interrupted by Bing Yao. "Stop. Uncle, don't tell me what's for my own good. I'm not a child, I know what kind of life I want." Bing Yao spoke the truth. Then he didn't care if Bing Pe had suffered a huge blow. Taking advantage of his distraction, he broke free and hid in Lung Ruoxue's arms. Bing Pe sighed helplessly when he saw Bing Yao. Why couldn't this child understand him? God knew how much he wanted to make it up to this child and give it all the good things, but this child didn't care at all. Not only that, Bing Yao kept on urging Lung Ruoxue, "Little Xue, take me away from here. I don't want to come here anymore. There are too many rules for me to stand. Yes, let's go home now." Lung Ruoxue stroked Bing Yao's little head and nodded. "Senior, let's go." Lung Ruoxue then turned around and spoke to Ice Spirit. She then carried the Ice Phoenix and walked in front. Uncle Long and the rest followed behind Lung Ruoxue in silence. Their hearts were in turmoil. Who could walk so calmly with a powerful Qilin behind them? Of course, Lung Ruoxue was an exception. That girl's heart is strong. They walked out of the courtyard and walked to the gate. They saw Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin family who had heard the news and were panting heavily. "Clan leader, are you going to leave with Miss Lung?" Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan asked in unison with a long face. Chapter 2782, Miss Lung, your child is crying. 1. Wasn't this obvious? When Lung Ruoxue heard what the two of them said, she sighed in her heart. However, they did not ask her, so she naturally did not say anything. She turned around and glanced at Bing Per indifferently. Ice Spirit nodded coolly. Then, Fire Yu and Elder Qilin looked like abandoned wives. They looked so aggrieved that no one dared to look at them directly. Clan leader, we will go with you. The two of them said in unison again. They didn't want to be separated from their clan leader for so long. Why are you guys following him? Hearing this, Ice Spirit said angrily. Was he going to laugh at him? Let's see how he can't handle a little Qilin. We're going to serve the chief. Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan said. I have hands and legs, I don't need you to serve me. Ice Spirit said in annoyance. Clan leader, you can't just ignore us. When the two heard this, tears began to flash in their eyes again, and they were about to fall. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue was a little confused. What the hell is this? Did it have to be so exaggerated? Lung Ruoxue was truly speechless towards Hui Yu and Elder Qilin. Did these two really have to make themselves so submissive? This was really too much to look down on. In the end, Lung Ruoxue, who could not take it any longer, shouted, Are you guys done? If you want to follow me, that's fine. May I ask what you can do? My demon city doesn't keep idle people. We will do anything. Hui Yu and the Qilin elder looked at each other for a moment before they replied in unison. You can cook? Lung Ruoxue asked as she blinked her eyes. No, I want tea. The two old Qilins whispered. Then, do the laundry? Are you taking care of the child? Lung Ruoxue asked again. Hui Yu and the elder Qilin were confused. They could understand washing clothes, but they had to take care of the children. You don't have any children, do you? Hui Yu was puzzled and asked carefully. Who said I didn't tea? Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows and laughed evilly. I've never heard of it. Hui Yu said gloomily. Why didn't they receive any news about such an important matter? He was not the only one who was depressed. The first elder of the Qilin clan and Bing Po were also puzzled. They looked at Lung Ruoxue with curiosity. In order to prove that her words were true, Lung Ruoxue took out a chubby little doll from her bracelet. The moment the little doll appeared, it immediately pounced into Lung Ruoxue's arms and called out enthusiastically, Mother! Be good! With the chubby baby in her arms, Lung Ruoxue looked at Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan with a faint smile. The evidence was right in front of them, and the old Qilins were all speechless. This child, Hui Yu stammered and wanted to ask who he had the child with, but he could not bring himself to say the second half of the sentence. Thanks, what, can you wear it properly? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. I should be able to. Hui Yu said with uncertainty. Oh really? Then here you go. After she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue immediately stuffed the chubby little baby into Hui Yu's arms. As soon as the baby changed arms, he immediately started crying. Hui Yu was so frightened that she hurriedly tried to comfort him. However, the more she coaxed him, the louder the baby cried. For a moment, Hui Yu didn't know what to do. Miss Lung, your child is crying. Stammering, Hui Yu couldn't help but remind Lung Ruoxue that he was not used to the soft body of the little doll in his arms. I saw him, you have to coax him. Lung Ruoxue requested calmly. No, I can't. Hui Yu, who had been coaxed before, was dumbfounded. This little thing didn't listen to him at all. It's not good to be too light, it's even worse to be too heavy, Wu. Human babies are really too difficult to serve compared to the Qilin clan's young. You can't coax her? Are you sure? Lung Ruoxue asked in a serious tone. I really can't coax her. Hui Yu knew that there was a trap in Lung Ruoxue's words, but he could only speak the truth. Then he immediately returned the hot-handed child to Lung Ruoxue. If you can't even coax a child, what use are you in Demon City? Just as Hui Yu had expected, Lung Ruoxue had started to despise him. I'm going to serve the chief, Hui Yu said in a low voice. In other words, he had nothing to do with Demon City. However, Lung Ruoxue didn't think that way. She patiently analyzed for him. You want to serve your clan leader, I can understand that. However, your clan leader is coming with us to Demon City. Once we're there, he'll have to stay in my house, right? I don't have any objections to him living alone. After all, I was the one who agreed for him to go. But you guys, I didn't invite you. If you only want to serve him, then where do you live? Where do they live? Hui Yu and the Qilin elder understood what Leng Ruoxue meant. Leng Ruoxue did not invite them, so she did not plan to arrange a place for them to stay. They would have to find their own place. Don't even think about building a house within a 100-mile radius of Demon City. That's my territory. If you dare to invade my territory, I'll be angry. Leng Ruoxue continued when she saw that they were silent. They really did have that plan, but Leng Ruoxue had immediately rejected it. This detestable girl, how could she be so scheming? This was not leaving them any way out. The two Qilins expressed their sorrow. They had never felt so aggrieved before. However, they knew that it was impossible for them to gain any benefits from Leng Ruoxue. Clan leader. The two old Qilins looked at Ice Soul helplessly. However, Ice Soul only said coldly, "Don't make me repeat myself, I don't need anyone to serve me. Did you guys see that? Your clan leader doesn't need you at all." Hearing this, Leng Ruoxue laughed, taking pleasure in his misfortune. Seeing her like this, Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan felt even more depressed. In the end, it was Uncle Long who kindly patted their shoulders and consoled them. "You two don't have to worry. Senior Ice Soul will live well in our place. Then please take good care of my family head." Since things had come to this, the two helpless old Qilins could only compromise. Your family head isn't a 3-year-old child. He doesn't need anyone to take care of him. Leng Ruoxue laughed when she heard Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan's request. Seeing that Leng Ruoxue was obviously dissatisfied, Hui Yu and the Qilin Great Elder did not dare to express their opinions. Seeing that they were finally being honest, Leng Ruoxue didn't make things difficult for them. She turned around and continued walking. Uncle Long and the others looked at Hui Yu and the Qilin Elder with sympathy and immediately followed Leng Ruoxue. Ice Soul did not even turn around, leaving behind the two miserable old Qilin Elders to see them off with reluctance. Just as Leng Ruoxue and the rest were about to reach the Devil Forest, Shui Emo also rushed over. Seeing Leng Ruoxue, Shui Emo grumbled, "Little girl, why didn't you tell me that you were going home? I could have gone home with you." Chapter 2783. Miss Leng, your child is crying. "Dear, this is your home, okay?" Hearing Shui Mo's words, Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with black lines. At this moment, she glanced at Hui Yu and Elder Qilin who were too scared to come forward. She felt depressed for them. The two of them were very sad when they heard Shui Mo's words. These two fellows were only thinking for the Qilin race, but they had two unreliable ancestors. Especially Shui Emo, he didn't recognize anyone after seeing the formation and was going to leave with them. However, Leng Ruoxue welcomed Shui Mo's presence, so she had no intention of rejecting him. Seeing that Leng Ruoxue had brought Shui Emo along without saying anything, Hui Yu and Elder Qilin felt extremely disgruntled. Leng Ruoxue was definitely treating him differently. They were really bullying the Qilin. How could he do this? The two old Qilins were very upset. However, he could not do anything to Leng Ruoxue. In the end, they couldn't help but hide it from each other. "It's all your fault. You've angered Leng Ruoxue previously, which is why she has a bad impression of us." First Elder Qilin was the first to launch an attack. "Didn't I already apologize sincerely? How can you blame me?" The Fire Yu was extremely indignant. Then, it roared angrily, "Even if I've offended Leng Ruoxue and she doesn't have a good impression of me, you, who didn't offend her, didn't get any special treatment from her either. So, we're clearly on the same level, so let's not talk about each other. You're the one who started it anyway." The Qilin Great Elder said, still angry. "I said I'm sorry." Fire Yu counterattack. Just like that, the two old Qilins started to fight each other without a care for their image. By the time they realized that Leng Ruoxue and the others had disappeared, they had already entered the Devil Forest. This should be the second time they had passed by the Devil Forest. The last time when Leng Ruoxue and Ice Soul left the Qilin clan, they did not pass by this place. To save time, Ice Soul had teleported her along. Now that they were in the Devil Forest again, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were extremely calm and prepared to fight the soul-devouring insects. However, the annoying soul-devouring insects did not appear even when they were almost out of the forest. Schwer, did you kill all the soul-devouring insects in one go last time? Uncle Long was not used to the peaceful Devil Forest. How is that possible? Isn't the king of soul-devouring insects still alive? Lung Ruoxue didn't want to be the scapegoat, but it was a fact that the soul-devouring bugs didn't appear. This made her feel rather depressed. If the Qilin race lost their barrier, it would be her fault if they blamed her in the future. The soul-devouring insects can't be completely exterminated. At this moment, Ice Spirit, who had been silent the whole time, finally spoke. Then I'm relieved. Lung Ruoxue heaved a sigh of relief. After that, everyone waved goodbye to the Devil Forest. After they left, a huge soul-devouring insect appeared where they were standing before. Around it, there were many small soul-devouring insects flying around. The big one was the king of soul-devouring insects. At this moment, it heaved a long sigh of relief. That terrifying woman had finally left. In the future, it and its descendants would be able to live happily here again. In fact, the intelligent king of soul-devouring insects had hesitated for a long time whether to appear or not, but in the end, it held back because it knew that it could not afford to offend the woman, so it could only hide. Now, after watching the fiendish woman leave, the king of soul-devouring insects cheered for a while, then happily took its children and flew to the other parts of the forest. Lung Ruoxue and the others who had left the Devil Forest were able to return to Demon City with the help of Ice Spirit's teleportation. Thanks. When they returned home, Uncle Long and the others naturally had to explain to Dongfang Yu and the others. Lung Ruoxue, on the other hand, carried Bing Yao and went straight to her residence. Sitting in the room, Lung Ruoxue suddenly remembered that she seemed to have forgotten something. It was only when Azure appeared and saw the little Qilin in Lung Ruoxue's arms that he roared with jealousy, "Girl, who is this little fellow? How could he occupy its position?" Azure was furious, and the consequences were severe. In the next moment, it squeezed itself into Lung Ruoxue's embrace and used its small claws to kick the ice dragon without a sound. Bing Yao was also furious. "You bastard! If the Kirin didn't show its might, it would be treated like a puppy. This little kitten is so annoying. She actually kicked me with her stinky feet." It also kicked. Just like that, the two childish fellows began to fight behind Lung Ruoxue's back. Song's strength was much higher than the Ice Phoenix's. Seeing that this little Qilin actually dared to resist him, he couldn't help but feel surprised. He then stretched out his claws to grab the thick fur on the Ice Phoenix's neck and lifted it up. He smiled at Lung Ruoxue and said, "Girl, where did this little fellow come from? Could he be Feng Ye's illegitimate son? Can you let me play with it?" Song's words made Lung Ruoxue suddenly realize that Feng Yi did not return with them. "Forget it, there's no difference whether that unreliable fool is with me or not. I'll just let him run his own course. Little Xue, help." Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was in a daze, Bing Yao could only cry for help pitifully. Where did this cat come from? What powerful strength! Bing Yao was a little afraid. Lung Ruoxue finally reacted and quickly saved Bing Yao from Tsong's hands. She then said to Tsong, "Bing is a friend I made in the lower world. Tsong, you have to treat it well, understand? Friend? Not your beastie. Then why are you hugging it?" Azure said unhappily. "It's still young," Lung Ruoxue whispered. It was her instinct to carry cute beastie. Who wouldn't want to touch and carry such a cute little fellow? Small? Your strength is quite low, why don't you let me train you? Azure smiled evilly. "No, don't." Bing Yao squeezed into Lung Ruoxue's embrace. So, it didn't want to train with this fellow. If it really wanted to train, it would rather train with that strange uncle. At the thought of this, Bing Yao tactfully jumped out of Lung Ruoxue's arms and said to her anxiously, "Little Xue, I'm going to find the strange uncle." After saying that, Bing Yao quickly ran away. If he didn't run now, he would lose his life. So, Cats are not to be trifled with these days. Even a cat was riding on his head. For a moment, Bing Yao felt inferior. It didn't like to cultivate at first, but after being frightened by a cat in cat skin, it immediately thought of cultivating, so it ran to find the strange Uncle Ice Soul. Lung Ruoxue looked at Bing Yao's fleeing actions and laughed to herself. However, the strange uncle that Bing Yao had mentioned, Bing Pe, was probably going to be overjoyed. Chapter 2784. Miss Ling, your child is crying. 3. Following that, Lung Ruoxue turned to look at Song and nodded its furry little head. Song, the ice phoenix should be the child of Ice Spirit, and it's also my friend. So, you really can't bully it. All right then. Azure nodded and changed the topic. Girl, aren't you going to refine the reincarnation pill? Where is it? Let me see. He didn't come back after the reincarnation pill healed the ice spirit. Lung Ruoxue said awkwardly. She had too many things to do and had forgotten to ask about the reincarnation pill's whereabouts. Could it be that she's dead? Some guess. It can't be. Lung Ruoxue did not believe it. Based on her understanding of her master's reincarnation pill, it definitely did not have the spirit of sacrificing itself for others and being selfless. Therefore, she would never believe that the 2 reincarnation pills were dead. However, it was indeed quite puzzling that he had yet to return. Or he was found by Ice Spirit. Azure continued to guess. This possibility is not impossible. But even if it was confiscated by the Qilin clan, it probably wasn't the Ice Spirit's intention. Even though she had not spent much time with Ice Spirit, Lung Ruoxue knew him well enough to know that he would never do such a thing. The only person who would do such a thing was Huoyu. Right, my reward? You bastard! How could she have forgotten to ask for a reward? Lung Ruoxue was extremely depressed. When did she learn to be like Lei Feng? She actually forgot to ask for compensation. She couldn't just do good things for that idiot Huoyu without asking for money. With this thought in mind, Lung Ruoxue carried Song and went to find Ice Spirit. Uncle Long had already arranged for Ice Spirit's residence. At this moment, Bing Po was listening to Bing Yao's soft complaints with a blissful expression on his face. He would comfort her from time to time. For a moment, Lung Ruoxue didn't have the heart to disturb the warm scene of a loving father and a filial son. However, Bing Yao's eyes were sharp. After sensing Song's threat, her small body immediately trembled. She even tried to shrink into Bing Po's arms, burying her head in his chest, leaving only her chubby little butt outside. At this moment, Ice Soul lifted her head and nodded at Lung Ruoxue. Then, she looked at the little white cat in her arms. Senior Song? Ice Spirit said with uncertainty. Azure's appearance was ever-changing. In the past, they were familiar with a Totoro, but now he saw a cat. However, the aura of this cat was exactly the same as what he knew. Little Qilin, congratulations on your revival. Song Wei nodded and said arrogantly. When Ice Spirit heard this, he was speechless. He was only unconscious, not dead. What did he mean by alive again? These words were really too unbearable. However, these words came from Song's mouth. No matter how unhappy Ice Spirit was, he wouldn't provoke Song for no reason. After all, the consequences of provoking Song were terrifying. Thank you for your concern, Senior Song. Ice Spirit had no choice but to say politely. Then Ice Spirit turned to Lung Ruoxue and asked, Little girl, what's the matter? Yes, I want to know where the reincarnation pill is. Lung Ruoxue said directly. They didn't tell you? Ice Spirit asked in surprise. No, I haven't seen them since Senior finished healing. Lung Ruoxue said honestly. After they healed my injuries, one of the reincarnation pills told me that they would take the other one away for a while. I thought they would tell you, so I didn't mention it to you. Plus, you never asked about their whereabouts, so I thought you knew. Ice Spirit was speechless. I don't know. Things came one after another during that time, and I didn't have time to ask. Lung Ruoxue said rather awkwardly. As a result, she had really forgotten about it. Then you can rest assured now. After they healed my injuries, although they are a little weak, it is not a big problem. I think they will come back to find you. Ice Spirit consoled. He knew that during that period of time, it was his matters that had bothered Lung Ruoxue, so he felt rather embarrassed. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded and continued, Senior, there's one more thing. Your Qilin clan still hasn't paid me the reward. Ice Spirit was silent. How could he take this? I'll inform the clan and have them send you your reward as soon as possible. Ice Spirit replied after a long time. Thanks, then I'll have to trouble Senior. I won't disturb you anymore, please continue. Lung Ruoxue beamed with satisfaction. With that, she completed her mission and left Ice Spirit's residence with Azure. Watching Lung Ruoxue's back view, Ice Soul felt helpless. Then he sent an order back to his clan. In less than a week, Hui Yu and Elder Qilin arrived happily with their rewards. A large group of Qilin came with them, including Feng Yi. When Feng Yi first saw Lung Ruoxue, he was a little embarrassed. But very quickly, he returned to his normal self and hugged Lung Ruoxue's leg, wailing. Shuer, how could you abandon me and leave the Qilin clan alone? Feng Yi felt wronged. They were from the same country, okay? Why did the church keep him? This fact really made him sad. We didn't leave you behind. It's you who didn't show up, okay? Lung Ruoxue naughtily pushed the blame to Feng Yi. When Feng Yi heard this, he became even more embarrassed. It was because Lung Ruoxue was right. It was indeed him who had not appeared. This was mainly because he felt that he had made a huge mistake and was too ashamed to face anyone, so he went into hiding. However, by the time he thickened his skin and wanted to look for Lung Ruoxue and the others, he found out that they had already left. Instantly, he felt a sense of desolation as if he had been abandoned, and he was sad for a long time. It was only when the clan leader sent back an order for the acting clan leader to deliver Lung Ruoxue's reward that he thickened his skin and followed along. This time, he had no intention of leaving. In any case, he was Lung Ruoxue's servant, so she would definitely not chase him away. At this moment, Feng Yi felt more confident than he had ever felt before. When he heard that Lung Ruoxue had not abandoned him, he felt even more blissful. However, Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan were quite uneasy. They both lowered their heads and didn't mention anything about the reward. According to the strategy that the two of them had discussed beforehand, they had to stay with the clan leader no matter what. Hence, as long as Lung Ruoxue did not take the initiative to ask them for compensation, the two of them planned to keep their eyes closed. This was because the two of them were afraid that if they took the initiative to give Lung Ruoxue her compensation, that girl would not give them any face and chase them away. If Lung Ruoxue mentioned it, the two of them would try their best to delay it. If they really could not delay it any longer, they would give it to her. In short, everything was based on the premise that they could stay, and they had to adapt to the situation. Seeing their reactions, Lung Ruoxue could guess what they were thinking. After snickering, Lung Ruoxue asked on purpose, "Did you bring the reward?" I haven't gathered all of them." Hui Yu and the Qilin Great Elder looked at each other and said in unison, "Since you haven't gathered all of them, what are you doing here?" Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. This question was really difficult to answer. The two of them felt like they were riding a tiger and couldn't stop. Why was this girl so difficult to deal with? Could it be that she couldn't be like an ordinary human and revere the Qilin clan? At this moment, the two of them truly hoped that Lung Ruoxue would be no different from an ordinary human. But obviously, they were deceiving themselves. Then, the two old Qilins heard Lung Ruoxue mumbling to herself, "Originally, since you're here, I was planning to invite you to stay here for a while, but now that you haven't collected your pay, I think you'd better go home and get it. You have to know that I'm going to collect interest after a long time." When the two old Qilins heard this, they immediately smiled bitterly. They had really shot themselves in the foot. This girl didn't play her cards according to the rules. What should they do now? Tell her that the reward had been gathered? Wouldn't they be slapping their own faces? After hesitating for a moment, the relatively calm First Elder Qilin said, "There's no need to go back. Before we came, we already told the clan that they would immediately send the money here." "I see. Then you can stay here temporarily and wait. I hope I won't have to wait too long." Lung Ruoxue didn't make things difficult for them this time, and was very understanding. In reality, according to Lung Ruoxia's thoughts, since these old Qilins were already here, they would definitely not leave. She couldn't really chase them away. After all, the two parties were allies now. When Hui Yu and the great elder Qilin saw that Lung Ruoxia was so easy to talk to, they were so touched that tears welled up in their eyes. It was really not easy to stay. When they moved into the residence that Lung Ruoxia had arranged for them, Hui Yu and the great elder of the Qilin clan felt as if they were in a dream. It was so unreal. Lung Ruoxia's fickleness had caught them off guard. After a while, the two of them discussed and decided to send the reward to Lung Ruoxia the next day. Even though doing so would be a slap to their faces after all, they had already said that they had not gathered enough remuneration. They believed that Lung Ruoxia was no fool. How could she not understand their little scheme? Therefore, in order to show their sincerity, they didn't delay it for a few more days. In short, everyone had a tacit understanding. One had to know that the reward should have been given long ago. However, the entire Qilin clan was so immersed in the excitement of the clan leader's awakening that they had completely forgotten about this matter. Now that she had taken the initiative to mention it, how could they drag it on? The next day, Lung Ruoxia received her reward. Without even looking at it, she handed it over to Uncle Long to handle. Then, she turned to the two uneasy old Qilin and said, "The two of you can rest assured, I think your family head won't be leaving this place for a while." Yes. Hui Yu and the great elder Qilin nodded vigorously. Although they did not understand what Lung Ruoxia meant, as long as she was willing to let them stay, why did they care so much? Just like that, a large group of Qilins settled down in Demon City temporarily. Chapter 2785, Heart-to-Heart Talk Between Father and Son, 1. After the Qilins' arrival, Demon City instantly became much more lively. This was because these Qilins were all like Granny Lu, who had just entered the Grandview Garden. They were curious about everything. Feng Yi, who had lived here for a while and was quite familiar with the place, naturally became their guide. Every day, Feng Yi brought the idle Qilin brothers to wander around the city. In the beginning, everyone and the beasts expressed a strong welcome to their arrival. After all, Qilin was really too rare to see. However, as time passed, everyone and the beasts were a little overwhelmed. If these Qilins just wanted to look, it would be fine. However, the other party held the spirit of shamelessly asking. When they saw people they didn't know, they would all get to the bottom of it and make people understand. Otherwise, they would keep pestering the other party. If this happened once or twice, the others would still be patient. However, as the number of times increased, the humans and beasts in Demon City would all start to hide when they saw them. "You bastard!" The students were too eager to learn, which made the teachers feel depressed. This was because the Qilins' questions were simply strange. Not only were they unimaginable, they were also completely unable to answer. Of course, for the sake of their pride, they couldn't say it out loud. Their hiding caused the Qilins to surround and intercept them. In the end, everyone couldn't take it anymore and could only report it to Uncle Long. Uncle Long felt conflicted when he heard the complaints. No wonder he rarely saw Qilin at home recently. So they had all run to the city to humbly seek guidance? Logically speaking, this was supposed to be a good thing, but once he was too modest, it was really quite unbearable. Especially the beasts of the endless ocean. They were already afraid of the Qilin, and the bloodline pressure of the Qilin's inborn bloodline also gave them a lot of pressure. But those Qilins didn't seem to be aware of it, and they kept pestering them with questions all day long. Which beast could stand it? Just the fear was enough to drive everyone crazy. However, it wasn't appropriate for Uncle Long to tell this to Ice Spirit. After all, he was a little guy. This was the instinct of a beast. It seemed that this matter had to be handled by Shui. After some thought, Uncle Long decided to look for Lung Ruoxia. When they arrived at Lung Ruoxia's residence, she happened to be sunbathing in the courtyard. When she saw Uncle Long, she was rather surprised. "Wasn't Uncle Long very busy recently? How did he have the time to find me?" "Uncle Long, what's the matter?" Lung Ruoxia looked at Uncle Long's worried face and couldn't help but ask. Uncle Long nodded and told Lung Ruoxia about the situation. When he finished, Lung Ruoxia couldn't help but laugh. "Bad girl, you're still laughing?" The beastmen in the city are so annoying. Uncle Long said helplessly. Uncle Long, what should I say? I've said it before, we have to find something for the Qilin to do, but you couldn't bring yourself to order them around. Look at what happened now, they've caused trouble for everyone, right? Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. Shui, you don't understand Beastie's pain. Uncle Long sighed. Only after becoming a divine supreme level beast would the pressure from those beasts with a higher bloodline level not affect them as much. However, before becoming a divine supreme level beast, the bloodline was enough to crush all other powers. This was all due to the inequality in one's bloodline, it was inborn. The pitiful beastmen were also helpless. I understand. I'll find Ice Spirit and personally arrange some work for them. That should be fine, right? Lung Ruoxue asked with sympathy. Well, as long as they don't have the chance to wander around. Uncle Long didn't ask for much. He just hoped that the Qilin wouldn't appear around those weak and pitiful beasts. Otherwise, they would scare those timid beasts to death. Don't worry, I won't let them have the chance to wander around. Lung Ruoxue promised and went to look for Ice Spirit. When they arrived at Ice Spirit's residence, Lung Ruoxue saw him looking up at the sky at a 45-degree angle with a sorrowful expression before she even entered the courtyard. Bing Yao was sleeping soundly on the stone table in the courtyard. The warm sunlight shone on Bing Yi's body, making it look like it was sparkling. The little fellow was so happy that it even started snoring. Thanks, what was going on? Didn't Ice Spirit look so happy just now? Filled with curiosity, Lung Ruoxue walked into the courtyard. Ice Spirit only glanced at her and continued to ignore her. Lung Ruoxue was a little depressed. She found a place to sit down and stared at Ice Spirit without blinking. After being stared at by Lung Ruoxue for a long time, Bing Pa finally could not take it anymore and said helplessly, "Little girl, stop looking at me." "What, are you shy?" Lung Ruoxue said with a smile when she saw Ice Spirit's hair standing on end. It seemed a little, but he was more uneasy. This little girl was too dangerous, and nothing good would come out of her coming to him. Thinking of this, Ice Spirit became alert. Lung Ruoxue felt depressed when she saw Ice Spirit's cautious expression. She wasn't a monster, okay? Did he have to be so guarded against her? "Senior, I've come to find you for something." Since the matter had already reached this point, Lung Ruoxue could only go straight to the point. "Speak." Ice Spirit's answer was short and powerful. "Your Qilin family has been loitering around Demon City. They've been causing trouble for my family's weaker beastmen." Lung Ruoxue said honestly. And then? Ice Spirit could tell that Lung Ruoxue had more to say, so he was not in a hurry to answer. "I hope Senior can restrain their behavior." Lung Ruoxue requested. "I don't have the time." Ice Spirit said irresponsibly. "Then I'll restrain them." Lung Ruoxue was prepared for Ice Spirit to say this, so she did not hold back. "How do you want me to restrain you?" Ice Spirit asked curiously. "Arrange some work for them, damn it. You eat my food, live in my place, and even harass my orcs here, causing Demon City's orcs to almost fall into depression." Lung Ruoxue said hatefully. Is it that serious?" Ice Spirit had never left the courtyard, so she wasn't sure what was going on outside. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, she felt that she was exaggerating. Depression? Is this a joke? The Qilin has already seriously affected the lives of the beasties, causing them to be unable to eat well, unable to sleep well, and all the beasties have lost quite a bit of weight, to the point that their beastly forms are almost unrecognizable. Lung Ruoxue said in an exaggerated manner. "If that's the case, then you should arrange some work for the Qilines. They're staying here with you now, so it's only natural for them to listen to your arrangements. If anyone disobeys, you have the right to chase them away, no need to give me face." Ice Spirit said after thinking for a while. "I was waiting for you to say this." When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she immediately expressed that she understood. Then, the two of them stared at each other. Chapter 2786, Heart-to-Heart Talk Between Father and Son, 2. Ice Spirit had thought that Lung Ruoxue would leave once the matter was settled. who knew that she had no intention of leaving at all. Now, he was not sure why Lung Ruoxue had come to find him. It was too hard to guess what this little girl was thinking, so Ice Soul decided not to waste her brain cells and asked, "Is there anything else?" Ice Soul couldn't help but ask, feeling extremely uneasy. "Come, we should have a good talk," Lung Ruoxue said with the expression of an understanding elder sister. "I'm not free." Ice Spirit refused without thinking. Lung Ruoxue, on the other hand, choked on her words. She wanted to cry. She had wanted to be Ice Spirit's intimate sister for a long time. She had been waiting for him to take the initiative to come and confess to her. Who knew that this guy was not aware of it at all? Now it seemed that she had to take the initiative. After settling the matter with Bing Pe, she planned to go into seclusion. Before that, she had to settle the matter with Bing Yao, or she would be worried about Bing Yao. However, Ice Spirit was not cooperative at all. "Is there something? What do you want? You're so bored that you're looking at the sky." After giving Ice Spirit a disdainful look, Lung Ruoxue said in a domineering tone, "Even if there's something, you have to put it down. We have to have a good talk." "Serious?" Looking at Lung Ruoxue's serious expression, Ice Soul was very worried. He did not want to talk to Lung Ruoxue. This was because he was very clear about what the other party wanted to talk to him about. However, he wasn't prepared to let Bing Yao know about it. If he told Lung Ruoxue, he felt that it would be the same as telling Bing Yao. "Can we not talk?" The Ice Spirit made a last-ditch struggle, hoping to buy itself some time. The longer the better. Undeniably, he was an ostrich. Lung Ruoxue only shook her head and smiled without saying a word. Ice Spirit could only smile bitterly. "Let's talk then." Lung Ruoxue gave Ice Spirit a knowing look before she smiled and said, "Then explain." "You should have already guessed it, right?" Ice Spirit wasn't a fool. Even though Lung Ruoxue didn't ask anything during this period of time, her expression of knowing the truth revealed everything. There were even times when the dragon whale and the others would look at him and Bing Yao with deep confusion and helplessness. This had also made him even more worried, which was why he only asked this question now. Lung Ruoxue continued to smile and did not say anything. "Just as you thought, the Ice Phoenix is indeed my son. I also didn't expect that after so many years, it still hasn't reached adulthood. This is all my fault." Infinite Ice Soul reproached himself. "Why don't you acknowledge it?" Lung Ruoxue finally asked. In fact, she had already guessed the reason, but she still wanted to hear it from Ice Spirit. "You also know that I've let it down for what happened back then. Now that it's like this, you can say that I'm very responsible, so I really can't tell it that I'm its biological father and that I'm the one who caused it to be like this." Ice Spirit said bitterly. "Do you think you can hide this forever? You should know that paper can't hide fire. Bing Yi will find out about this sooner or later, and I think it's better for you to tell him yourself than for him to find out by himself. After all, I don't think you want him to hear the truth from others, right?" Lung Ruoxue reminded him. "Thanks, I understand what you mean, but I really can't bring myself to say it." Ice Spirit said like an ostrich. "Sometimes, the more you care about something, the more you're afraid of losing it." He didn't want Bing Yi to know the truth about her background and didn't want to see his heartless father anymore. So, he would rather Bing Yi knew nothing about it. Even if she still called him uncle, at least he could see Bing Yi every day. "I think you don't need to say anything," Lung Ruoxue suddenly said without rhyme or reason. Ice Soul heaved a sigh of relief when he heard her words. However, he soon felt that something was wrong. He raised his head and looked at Lung Ruoxue. He then followed her gaze and looked to the side. Ice Spirit's eyes widened. "Bing Yao, when did you wake up?" Bing Pio's heart beat faster as she asked the question. She stared at Bing Yao uneasily. Bing Yao's icy blue eyes were also staring at Bing Po in disbelief. Tears slowly welled up in her eyes as she asked with a choked voice, "Are you my father?" "I am," Ice Spirit replied calmly. Bing Yao had unintentionally discovered this matter. Bing Po calmed down and looked at Lung Ruoxue with a complicated expression. He believed that this little girl must have discovered that Bing Yao had woken up long ago, but she didn't tell him. So, "This is great, I've been caught." Bing Pio's expression was as if it was the end of the world. He looked at Bing Yao's teary eyes. When he saw the tears flowing down Bing Yao's fluffy face, he wanted to hug Bing Yao and comfort her. However, Bing Yao took a big step back and rejected his hug. She then jumped into Lung Ruoxu's arms to seek comfort. At this moment, Ice Spirit was burning with jealousy. Bing Yao was his son. Now that it knew about its past, it was just as it had worried about, unwilling to let it hug it. The old Qilin, Ice Spirit, had tears streaming down her face as she glared at Lung Ruoxue, who had snatched her son away, with fire spewing out of her eyes. Lung Ruoxue was extremely calm in the face of Bing Pio's anger. She then gently stroked Bing Pi's soft fur, comforting the pitiful little girl who was obviously hurt. Senior, I've known Bing Yao for a longer time than you, and I was the one who saved it when it was injured. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to see it now. Lung Ruoxue explained indifferently. Bing Yao was injured before? Ice Spirit asked worriedly. She was no longer jealous when she heard the word, injured. When I first saw it, it was sleeping just like you. I was the one who saved it. Lung Ruoxue added. Who did this? Knowing that her son had recovered, Ice Spirit naturally cared about the culprit. I don't know. Lung Ruoxue looked at Bing Yao and said irresponsibly. Bing Yao, who did this? Seeing that he couldn't get anything from Lung Ruoxue, Bing Pa could only ask Bing Yao. However, Bing Yao didn't give Ice Soul any face and said angrily, none of your business. Bing Yao, his words broke Bing Pio's heart. My son won't let me take care of him. Is there anything more hurtful than this? He thought. Since you abandoned me back then, don't even think about acknowledging me again. Bing Yao continued, as if the blow to Bing Po wasn't enough. Upon hearing this, Ice Spirit could not help but take 2 steps back. His face turned pale. Had he completely lost his Ice Phoenix? Bing Yao didn't even call him strange uncle anymore. Ice Spirit suddenly felt that his world had turned dark. At this moment, he even felt that he might as well not wake up. In that case, his heart would not hurt so much. Chapter 2787, Heart-to-Heart Talk Between Father and Son, 3. However, it was too late to say anything now. Bing Yao wouldn't recognize him even if he was here. The heartbroken Ice Soul's originally clear eyes had become dull after the blow. In just a moment, his face was frighteningly pale. Then Ice Soul, who felt a suffocating feeling in his chest, clearly felt a warm current surging up his throat. Lung Ruoxue saw that Bing Pa had been dealt a heavy blow and Bing Yao was extremely hostile towards her. She had no choice but to leave with Bing Yao for the time being. Once they left, Bing Pa spat out a mouthful of blood and fell limply beside the stone table. For a long time, Ice Soul just sat there in a daze. Chief, what's wrong? After an unknown period of time, the Qilin Great Elder came to find his clan leader. He happened to see the clan leader covered in blood and falling to the ground in an extremely sorry state. At that moment, he was almost scared to death. However, the Ice Spirit didn't respond to his concern. The Qilin First Elder was so depressed that he almost hit his head against a wall. What was wrong with the clan leader? He did not believe that anyone in Demon City could harm the clan leader. But how could he explain the clan leader's current appearance? He had to look for Lung Ruoxue to think of a solution. After all, this was her territory. When the Great Elder of the Qilin clan found Lung Ruoxue with burning anxiety and informed her of this matter, Lung Ruoxue was stunned. She didn't expect that the powerful-looking Ice Spirit couldn't even withstand this much. So she worriedly looked at Bing Yao, who was also silent. Lung Ruoxue called Song over and asked him to help look after Bing Yao for the time being. Then she followed the Qilin Great Elder to check on Ice Spirit. When they arrived at Ice Spirit's residence, Lung Ruoxue immediately gave him a healing pill. Then, she asked the Great Elder of the Qilin clan to help him into his room. At first, the Qilin clan's Great Elder wanted to guard his clan head. However, he was forcefully dragged out of the room by Lung Ruoxue. What this father and son needed the most now was to be alone. All unrelated people were to leave. However, the Qilin First Elder did not know what had happened, nor did he understand Lung Ruoxue's painstaking efforts. So, After being pulled out of the room, this first elder, who had a good personality, was completely furious. "Young Lady Lung, what's wrong with our clan leader? Your demon city must give me an explanation, or else my Qilin clan will not be finished." The Qilin Great Elder roared. "You really want an explanation? What if I say that this is your clan head's private matter, and I can't disclose it before he says anything?" Lung Ruoxue asked calmly, her attitude saying that she would tell him if he wanted to know. This made Great Elder Qilin even more uncertain. Is it really a private matter of the clan leader? "You weren't attacked?" the Qilin Grand Elder asked uncertainly. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she laughed instead of getting angry. "Who do you think can attack him here? If they were really attacked, why didn't you guys hear anything?" Lung Ruoxue was speechless. The Grand Elder was a little embarrassed. Although he had already expected that the clan leader would not have been attacked, he still felt uneasy without knowing the truth. Now that Lung Ruoxue was using the clan head's private matter as an excuse to not tell him, it would not be good if he insisted on knowing. After some thought, the Qilin Great Elder compromised and asked Lung Ruoxue to guarantee that the clan leader would be fine. Only then would he be at ease. After dealing with the troublesome Great Elder Qilin, Lung Ruoxue hurriedly returned to her residence. When Blue One saw that she had returned, he immediately disappeared to accompany the blood lotus flower in his cultivation. As for Lung Ruoxue, she first looked at the silent Bing Yao before sitting down beside it silently. For the next few days, Bing Yao refused to speak. Lung Ruoxue did not think of any way to make it happy either. She only quietly accompanied Bing Yao as if she was invisible. "Little Xue, should I forgive him and acknowledge him?" After an unknown period of time, Bing Yao's voice finally entered Lung Ruoxue's ears. After Lung Ruoxue heard this, she stroked the soft fur of the ice phoenix and smiled. "Just ask your own heart. Why did he abandon me? Since you've abandoned me back then, why are you still pretending to find me?" When she thought of this, Bing Yao was still a little resentful. "It's a bit complicated, so let him tell you himself. However, what I want to tell you is that even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. He is your biological father, and he would not have done that if he had not been forced to. However, I don't ask you to understand his actions, I just hope that you don't hate him. After all, it's not easy for him either. For tens of thousands of years, he has been seriously injured and in a coma. The moment he woke up, he wanted to know your whereabouts. So, he loves you." Lung Ruoxue replied honestly. As a matter of fact, if she was in Bing Yi's position, she wouldn't easily forgive her parents who had abandoned her. However, Bing Pa did that not because he didn't love Bing Yi. He had chosen to give up some of his personal things for the sake of justice. A person like this would be a good leader, but he would never be a good husband or father. Therefore, as his relatives, they were often the most wronged. Thanks, however, as a bystander, could she blame Ice Spirit for this? The answer was no. Not only that, but in some ways she admired Ice Spirit's courage. After all, not everyone could be as unyielding as him. Because of this, she really hoped that this father and son could sit down and have a good talk. The one who had caused the incident back then was actually Wu Ling. Both father and son were innocent. Of course, Bing Jie was the most innocent one. No matter how much Bing Pa suffered, Lung Ruoxue would never stand on his side. After all, Bing Jie and Lung Ruoxue had a deeper relationship. With that thought in mind, Lung Ruoxue spoke again. "Bing Yao, talk to him. Even though you weren't born at that time, as the person involved, you have the right to know the truth." "Okay, I'll listen to little Xue. Bing Yao nodded. It also wanted to know why it was abandoned. Seeing that Bing Yao had agreed, Lung Ruoxue immediately nodded to Bing Pa, who had been standing guard outside the courtyard. Seeing this, Bing Pa immediately walked in with large strides. He had heard the entire conversation between Lung Ruoxue and Bing Yao. He also knew that this was an opportunity Lung Ruoxue had given him. Hence, he was naturally unwilling to give it up. Lung Ruoxue considerately gave the place to the father and son before turning around and leaving. Bing Yao raised her head and looked at Bing Pa in disbelief. How did this old man become so haggard after not seeing him for a few days? Ice Spirit's face was full of worry. His eyes were bloodshot, and his clothes were crumpled. He looked like a homeless man. It was a sharp contrast to his previous self-assured and arrogant demeanor. I want to know the truth," Bing Yao coldly said after feeling a slight pain in her heart. "Yes, I will tell you everything." Ice Spirit nodded and continued, "Tens of thousands of years ago, the divine realm was originally thriving. Although there was not much harmony between the various races, at least they did not interfere with each other. However, one day, a person's ambition destroyed all of this. She caused the entire god world to be plunged into misery and suffering, causing the various races to kill each other. In the beginning, our Qilin clan was the calmest one, but not long after, the flames of war also spread to our side. Who's that bad guy?" Bing Yao suddenly interrupted. "Rhyme, the current god lord. All the disasters that happened back then were caused by her, and our family's separation was all because of her. At that time, Wu Yen had basically already subdued the other 3 King Divine Beast clans. As for our Qilin clan, she had never shown any signs of approaching us. Later on, she thought of a plan to lure me out of the clan and then brought people to sneak into the clan to steal you." Ice Spirit stopped and waited for Bing Yao to ask. "And then? I was stolen?" Bing Yao asked as expected. "Yes, you were stolen. When I realized that I had been tricked and rushed back to the clan, it was already too late. I've let you down. I didn't fulfill my responsibility as a father and protect you well." Ice Spirit said sadly. "So you're saying that you didn't abandon me intentionally?" Bing Yao asked carefully. Although it had only had its master by its side since it was born, that did not mean that it did not want to know who its parents were. However, when it was in the Haotian continent, it was the only Qilin in that world, so it couldn't find its roots even if it wanted to. Now that it had come to the immortal realm and accidentally found out that it had a father, but had been abandoned by its father, one could imagine the shock it had suffered. However, after learning some of the truth, it realized that things didn't seem to be what it had imagined, so it was a little confused again. She wasn't abandoned on purpose, and the culprit was someone else. Was that right? Father didn't want to abandon him. Father loved it, didn't he? Bing Yao raised her head and looked at Bing Per expectantly, hoping that he could answer her question. Facing Bing Yao's hopeful eyes, Bing Per hesitated for a long time before he took a deep breath and answered honestly, "I didn't mean to lose you at that time. But later, that bitch, Wu Yen, used you to threaten me and wanted me to lead the Qilin clan to pledge loyalty to her. I refused." Bing Per used a lot of strength to force out the truth. He looked at Bing Yao uneasily. But Bing Yao was unusually silent after hearing this, which made Bing Per even more nervous. Ice Spirit's heart was beating like a drum, and she stood there helplessly like a prisoner waiting to be interrogated. His eyes were glued to Bing Yao's body without even blinking. He wished he could see Bing Yao's reaction at the first moment. However, Bing Yao was still sitting there in silence. "Bing Yao," Bing Per called. The longer they stayed, the more uneasy he felt. "That scoundrel flew into a rage out of humiliation because of your rejection, so he threw me down to the lower realm, right?" After a long time, Bing Yao finally gave a response. Chapter 2788. Any condition? 1. Yes, because of my rejection, that bitch, Wu Yen, was so embarrassed that she threw you down to the lower realm. Bingy, you should hate me. I'm sorry, I didn't protect you. Ice Spirit took a deep breath and said guiltily. Then, she looked at Bing Yao nervously, but Bing Yao didn't say anything. At this moment, it did not know what to do. After knowing the truth, its heart was in a mess, like a ball of hemp, tangled together. Should it be hated? Its own father had given up on it in order not to be controlled by that bad guy. It should hate him, right? However, as a proud Qilin, it could somewhat understand the choice its father had made back then. The noble Qilin should not be controlled by others. Rhymice, right? If it had the chance to see that bad guy in the future, it would definitely bite her. Who asked her to use herself to threaten others? At this moment, Bing Yao didn't know whether she should forgive her father or not. Instead, she hated Wu Yao. After thinking about this, Bing Yao couldn't help but ask, "What about my mother?" She, Bing Yao didn't dare to ask if his mother was dead or alive, because the father in front of him had never mentioned anything about his mother from the beginning to the end. But now he had to ask. In order to protect you, it was killed by the fog. Many of our clansmen also died at the hands of Wu Cheng. After a long silence, Ice Spirit said, Dead? Mother is dead. There are also many clansmen. Bing Yao's large blue eyes were filled with tears as she sobbed. Is it all to protect me? Bing Yao continued to ask. Yes. In order to protect you, our clansmen have either died or been injured, so I really can't let them suffer any more injuries because of you. Bing Yao, I didn't want to give up on you, but I had no choice back then. As the Qilin clan leader, I can't let my clan suffer an even greater blow because of my personal matters. So, I can only let you down. Ice Spirit was also sobbing. You did nothing wrong. I'm a sinner of the Qilin race. After hearing this, Bing Yao suddenly said, No, you're not. I'm too useless as a father, I can't even protect my own wife and child. I've let you down. Even if you hate me even more after knowing all this, I won't blame you. Bing Pa couldn't bear to see Bing Yao blame himself. After all, it had nothing to do with Bing Yao. It was his fault as a father. How could he make Bing Yao feel guilty? I don't blame you and I don't hate you. Bing Yao raised her head and said with a worried expression. Bing Yao, Bing Pa was happy to hear that. But from Bing Yao's expression, he knew that the little guy didn't forgive him. It just didn't blame him, but it didn't want to acknowledge him as its father. I want to be alone. Bing Yao said, All right then. If there's anything else you can't figure out, you can come and ask me at any time. I'll tell you everything. Afraid that Bing Yao would go to a dead end, Bing Pa quickly added. As for Bing Yao, she only nodded slightly and didn't say anything else. She lowered her head and continued to lie down. Ice Spirit sighed and left. He had told her most of what he needed to say. Now, he could only wait for Bing Yao to figure it out. Thanks. Once he was out of the courtyard, he saw Leng Ruoxue who had been standing guard at the entrance. He nodded at her and said, Little girl, I've said what I needed to say. It'll have to trouble you to take care of Bing Yao. If it wants to see me, please send someone to inform me. Then, Ice Spirit left helplessly. As she watched Ice Spirit's back view, Leng Ruoxue thought to herself, so they haven't made up yet? After that, she walked into the courtyard and saw that the ice phoenix had returned to its normal state. It was lying alone on the stone table, and the surrounding air was stained with its sadness, making it seem particularly bleak and desolate. Walking forward, Leng Ruoxue gently stroked the soft fur on the ice phoenix's body, wanting to give it silent comfort. At this moment, Bing Yao also raised her head and pounced into Leng Ruoxue's arms with tears in her eyes. She hugged Leng Ruoxue's neck tightly and refused to let go. The ice phoenix's hooves were hugging Leng Ruoxue tightly, and Leng Ruoxue could feel the moisture on her neck. Sighing, Leng Ruoxue could only pat its back lightly. For the next few days, Bing Yao stayed in Leng Ruoxue's arms and refused to leave. When Song saw this scene, other than snorting coldly, he didn't forcefully pull the annoying and eyesore little Qilin out of Leng Ruoxue's arms. Who asked this little Qilin to be sad at this moment? The fact that Bing Yao was sad and sought Leng Ruoxue's comfort was definitely a big blow to Bing Pa. However, he was powerless to do anything about it, so he could only sneak a few glances from time to time before hiding back in his own residence to drink with jealousy. Later on, it was the Qilin Great Elder who felt that something was wrong, as if something they didn't know had happened. However, the rather smart First Elder Qilin didn't let his thoughts run wild. Instead, he went to find his family patriarch. This time, Bing Pa didn't hide anything and told him Bing Yao's identity. When First Elder heard this, his eyes immediately widened and he said in disbelief, Clan leader, you should be happy that you found the little prince. Why are you still frowning? Of course I want to be happy, but Bing Yao doesn't want to acknowledge me. Do you think I should be happy? Ice Spirit replied helplessly. Blood is thicker than water. How could the little prince not recognize you? Clan leader, is there a misunderstanding? Or does the little prince still not know his identity? The Qilin Great Elder guessed. I've already told it the truth, and there was no misunderstanding. It also said that it doesn't blame me, but it still refuses to acknowledge me. Ice Spirit said helplessly. Little Prince, it knows what happened back then? First Elder immediately asked. I know, and I also know that I was the one who gave up on it back then. Ice Spirit said honestly. Clan leader, how could you say this? No wonder the little prince refused to acknowledge you after hearing this. If it were me, I wouldn't acknowledge you either. When First Elder heard this, he immediately became worried. The clan leader was too honest. He had not acknowledged his son yet, so how could he explain everything? According to his thoughts, the most important thing was to let the little prince return to the Qilin clan first. As for the rest, we'll talk about it later. However, Bing Jiuai wouldn't do what the First Elder thought. He hoped that he and his son didn't have any grudges. Otherwise, if Bing Yao heard about this from someone else, the consequences would be even worse. It should not recognize me. After all, I haven't fulfilled my responsibility as a father for tens of thousands of years. What right do I have to make it acknowledge me now? Ice Spirit said calmly. The Qilin Great Elder didn't know what to say after hearing the patriarch's words. After that he bade farewell and left. He pondered for a long time before he went to look for Lung Ruoxue on his own. Chapter 2789. Any condition? 2. However, when he arrived at Lung Ruoxue's residence and saw her, most of his attention was focused on Bing Yao. He really looked like the clan leader. The Qilin Great Elder pondered to himself. In fact, when this little Qilin first came to the Qilin clan, he had already felt that something was wrong. After all, the clan leader treated it too specially. However, he didn't think too much about it at that time. Now, everything was clear. This little fellow was their little prince. But why was the little prince being carried by a human all day? Seeing that Bing Yao was still in Lung Ruoxue's arms, First Elder was a little jealous. He changed his mind and said to Lung Ruoxue, Miss Lung, can I take a look at the little prince? Haven't you already seen it? Lung Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and said innocently, I just want to take a good look. The Great Elder said helplessly, but he was thinking in his heart, in your arms, can this even be considered looking? He still wanted to have a good relationship with the little prince. When Lung Ruoxue heard the Qilin Grand Elder's words, she did not immediately reply to him. She only patted Bing Chan's back and asked softly, Bing Yao, the Great Elder Qilin wants to take a good look at you. Will you let him? I won tea. No one was allowed to see. I'm not a monkey in the zoo. What's there to see? Upon hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Bing Yao, who had her head lowered, spoke with a burning rage. Don't be like this, all right? Upon hearing this, the First Elder of the Qilin clan was extremely worried. How could he ask this? See, you've made the little prince angry, right? However, before the Great Elder of the Qilin clan could correct Lung Ruoxue had changed the topic. This was because Lung Ruoxue then turned to First Elder Qilin and said with a smile, Great Elder, you've come at the right time. I have something to discuss with you. What's the matter? The Great Elder of the Qilin clan had been led astray by Lung Ruoxue. At this moment, he had even forgotten the purpose of his visit. He only looked at Lung Ruoxue with a face full of vigilance, afraid that she would make some excessive requests. Don't you Qilin clansmen have too much free time recently? Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Then, without waiting for First Elder's reply, she continued, I plan to arrange some work for them. Otherwise, you'll be eaten up by them in the long run. So, let them work while they're in Demon City to cover the cost of their food and lodging. What do you think, Great Elder? What do you think? Could he refuse? The Qilin Great Elder couldn't help but mutter to himself. He believed that as long as he refused, this little girl in front of him would definitely immediately tell him, then please do as you please. I really can't afford to support you. Therefore, the Great Elder Qilin, who had no intention of leaving, would never let Lung Ruoxue have her way. Hence, he tactfully nodded his head and said, I have no objections. Miss Lung, whatever you want them to do, just arrange it. Then I won't be polite. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. You were originally prepared to be polite, So what? The great elder of the Qilin clan looked at Leng Ruoxue with disdain and started to complain again. Then, afraid that Leng Ruoxue would make another request, the Qilin Grand Elder was so frightened that he immediately turned around and left. It was only after he left the courtyard that he suddenly recalled that he had not completed his main task and had instead allowed Leng Ruoxue to take advantage of him. Thanks, you bastard! When would he stop being led by the nose by that little girl? The first elder of the Qilin clan was very worried. However, it was too late for him to come to sorrowful Mulberry now. Afraid that a long delay would bring more trouble, Leng Ruoxue quickly informed Uncle Long that she had obtained the approval of Ice Soul and the Qilin First Elder. She could now arrange work for the Qilin clan. As for the acting clan leader of the Fire Yu, he was automatically ignored by Leng Ruoxue. When Uncle Long heard this, he immediately reported the lack of manpower to Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue would then make the arrangements, and Uncle Long would carry them out. Soon, the Kirin, who was as curious as Granny Lu, finally had something to do. Of course, Leng Ruoxue's action of arranging work for them had once caused some of the Qilins to be dissatisfied. This was because a considerable number of Qilins felt that they were just guests, so how could they arrange work for them? They were not from Demon City. After Leng Ruoxue found out what they were thinking, she only asked Uncle Long to tell them that those who did not want to work could leave Demon City immediately. After that, all the Qilins became well-behaved. Of course, they weren't being honest just because of Leng Ruoxue's words. The moment Leng Ruoxue said that, many of the Qilins immediately went to look for their Grand Elder, hoping that the Grand Elder would make the decision for them. However, the Grand Elder could only regretfully tell them that this matter had been approved by their clan leader. In other words, you have to do it even if you agree or disagree. He had no choice. When the unwilling Qilins heard this, they didn't dare to get angry anymore. They could only obediently let Uncle Long arrange it. After settling the Qilin clan's work, Leng Ruoxue looked at Bing Yao, who was still in a low state, and her mood became heavy again. Originally, she had awakened the ice dragon in hopes that it would be happy, but now it had become so sad. This was obviously not what she wanted to see. Leng Ruoxue, who felt that she should have a deep conversation with Bing Yao, immediately put her thoughts into action after making this decision. After placing Bing Yao, who had been hugging her tightly and refusing to let go, on a chair, Leng Ruoxue faced her. Bing Yao, let's talk. Leng Ruoxue said directly. I don't want to talk. Bing Yao said in a soft voice as she closed her eyes. Bing Yao, do you plan to continue like this? Tell me, what are you really thinking? Leng Ruoxue didn't allow Bing Yao to be a coward, so she held his little head and made him look at her. I don't know, my heart is in a mess. Bing Yao said, somewhat at a loss. Do you still hate him for not choosing you back then? Leng Ruoxue went straight to the core of the problem. No, I don't hate him anymore. If it were me, for the sake of my pride as a Qilin, I'm afraid I would also make the same choice. However, from my own point of view, I couldn't accept his choice so quickly. I need some time. Bing Yao said honestly. I can understand. Bing Ying, tell me, have you ever thought about your parents all these years? Leng Ruoxue could empathize with Bing Yao's feelings. After all, humans were like that. Without experiencing it personally, one would never be able to understand the pain of helplessness. Once one had experienced it, it was not easy to forget it. I've thought about it occasionally. In fact, many beasts have never seen their parents when they were born. On the Haotian continent, many beasts grew up with their masters, and they have never even seen what their parents look like. Therefore, beasts like us don't need parents as much as those who grew up in our own tribe. Even so, I couldn't help but think of my parents and why I'm the only Qilin on the Haotian continent. Now I know I was stolen. Bing Yao said sadly. Originally, I should be very happy to know that I was stolen and not abandoned by my parents, but when I think of my father, I can't be happy. Because from a certain perspective, I have indeed been abandoned. So, I can't get past this barrier. I have no choice, Bing Yao continued after sighing. Chapter 2790, Any Condition? 3. Bing Yi, I can understand what you're saying. In fact, the Ice Soul clan leader chose to give up on you because he wanted the Qilin in his clan to live with dignity. He's worthy of respect, but he did you wrong. It's only right that you don't forgive me. No one will blame you, so I really hope that you can still be a happy Ice Phoenix like before. Let all these unhappy things pass. Lung Ruoxue consoled. Can I really go over? Bing Yao said with uncertainty. As long as you want to. Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Little Xue, I also want to be as carefree as before, but why can't I be happy now? Bing Yao was confused again. Let it go or forgive. Bing Yao, you only have these two choices now. So, don't make things difficult for yourself and be yourself. If you can't forgive him, then just ignore him and treat him as a passerby or a stranger. Don't let him affect your life. Lung Ruoxue replied calmly. What if I can't do it? Bing Yao tilted her head as she asked Lung Ruoxue. Then we can only forgive him and let the past be in the past. It's been tens of thousands of years, and Ice Spirit really does love you. Otherwise, she wouldn't want to know where you are the moment she woke up. Lung Ruoxue reminded. Little Xue, my heart is in a mess. Let me think about it. Bing Yao said in pain. Quickly sort out all of this and let me see the Ice Phoenix from the past. Lung Ruoxue caressed Bing Yao's little head as she spoke in a pained tone. After Lung Ruoxue had said everything she needed to say, she did not disturb Bing Yao anymore. She did not keep Bing Yao company like she did a few days ago because she knew that Bing Yao needed some time alone at this moment. For the next few days, Lung Ruoxue deliberately did not go to see Bing Yi, and Bing Yi did not appear in front of her. It was only later that she found out that Bing Yi had actually left home alone. This made her feel worried and blamed herself. When Uncle Long realized Lung Ruoxue's worry, he chuckled and told her that Ice Soul had been secretly following Bing Yao. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue finally felt at ease. With the Ice Spirit, he believed that Bing Yao would not encounter any danger. Bing Yao, who had run away from home, had not actually gone far. It knew that it wasn't very powerful, so it had never left Demon City's sphere of influence. Since most of the humans and beasts in Demon City knew it, it was like a fish in water in the city. However, it obviously didn't want to attract anyone's attention, so it went to places with fewer people. The place it was currently at was a cliff. Standing on a large rock on the cliff, Bing Yao looked around aimlessly. Then, his eyes slid down the cliff to the edge of the cliff. The Ice Phoenix came down from the rock and walked towards the cliff step by step. Then, its 4 hooves rose in the air and it jumped straight down the cliff. Little Bing Bing, don't. The moment Bing Yao jumped down, a blue figure quickly pounced in Bing Yao's direction and extended its arm to catch Bing Yao in time. Xiao Lan Lan, what are you doing? Let me go. Seeing that she was being hugged, Bing Yao was a little angry. Not letting go. Little Bing Bing, don't take things too hard. Lan Lai said worriedly as he hugged Bing Yao tightly. You bastard. You're the one who can't accept it, your whole family can't accept it. Bing Yao was furious. Who had ever heard of cultivators dying from falling off a cliff? It just wanted to feel its speed being at a disadvantage, but not only was someone causing trouble, they actually thought it was taking things too hard. Did it look like it couldn't get over it? The more she thought about it, the angrier Bing Yao became. She struggled in Lan Lai's arms. It was already dangerous for Lan Lai to hold onto Bing Yao because one of his legs was already in the air. Now that Bing Yao was struggling, Lan Lai lost his balance and fell down the cliff with Bing Yao in his arms. This time, Lan Lai was so depressed that he wanted to bang his head against the wall, while Bing Yao got what he wanted. The wind whistled by his ears, causing Lan Lai's tender cheeks to hurt. He had to try his best to maintain his balance so that he and Bing Yao would not fall too badly. Bing Yao, however, did not care about that. As the wind whistled past his ears, Bing Yao excitedly patted his hooves. Hurry up! Faster! Bing Yao urged Lan Lai. It was obvious that he wasn't happy with the speed of Lan Lai's descent. Little Bing Bing, can you stop? We're going to fall to our deaths. Lan Lai was speechless. How could little Bing Bing still be so happy after falling from such a deep cliff? He really couldn't understand. However, Bing Yao didn't care so much and only said with a face of disdain, "You should be the one falling to your death. As the great Qilin, how can I fall to my death? Besides, if it wasn't for you, I would have felt the speed of the wind." "Thanks." Bing Yao's words hurt Lan Lai. After a long time, Lan Lai whispered, "I'm just concerned about you. I'm afraid you..." "Stop. I really didn't want to commit suicide." Before Lan Lai could finish, Bing Jie interrupted him. Then, Bing Yao sighed again. When would this guy be as understanding as little Shue? He was really stupid. However, it was undeniable that Lan Lai's actions had lifted its heavy mood. At this moment, a pained cry suddenly rang out in Bing Yao's ear. He looked down and saw that they had already reached the bottom of the cliff. Lan Lai was currently sitting on his but in an extremely ugly position. Little Bing Bing, you've gotten fatter. It's so heavy." Lan Lai nudged Bing Yi's butt, speechless. Bing Yao really knew how to sit, and he just happened to sit on his face. Although he liked Bing Yao very much, he didn't like her to the point that he was willing to let her sit on his face. This fact made Lan Lai very worried. Bing Yao, who was about to laugh at Lan Lai's misfortune, immediately exploded when he heard Lan Lai say he was fat. "You're the one who's gained weight. Your whole family has gained weight. You bastard." No one was allowed to say it was fat. If they said it was fat, little Shue would not hold it. Lan Lai was speechless. Why did it have such a big reaction when he said it was fat? After a moment of silence, Lan Lai reminded her, "Little Bing Bing, it doesn't matter if you're fat or not. I think you should get off me first and we can discuss how to get up." "Why do we have to go up? I think the view down here is quite good, so I've decided to stay here for a while," Bing Yao said seriously as he looked around. He then stood up from Lan Lai's body. "What's good about the scenery here?" Hearing this, Lan Lai glanced around casually, depressed. The bottom of the cliff was bare and barren. What scenery was there to see? Moreover, as far as he knew, Demon City had been destroyed by a person called Rime Ice, so the bottom of the cliff was even more chaotic. There were broken stones everywhere, and there was nothing to see. However, Bing Yao clearly didn't think so and decided to stay here for a while. However, the truth was that the distance between the bottom of the cliff and the top was too high. It couldn't go up. Therefore, he could only stay here with this fool and wait for help. This was a mistake. The cliff didn't look deep, and the surrounding mountains were man-made, but who knew that it would be deceived by the facts it saw with its eyes? However, he couldn't let that idiot Lan Lai know that he had been tricked. Otherwise, he would definitely laugh at him. What made Bing Yao even angrier was that the little fool, Lan Lai, actually wanted the two of them to go up themselves. With their strength, it would be strange if they could go up. At this moment, Bing Yao truly hated that her strength was too low. It must be known that since little Shue left the Haotian continent, its strength had not improved much. Of course, this was also largely due to its master's injuries that had not yet recovered, but its own neglect in cultivation was also the main reason, so now it was stuck on a cliff. Oh my God! Who would save it? She didn't want it to be with an idiot anymore. Seeing Lan Lai running around her like an ant on a hot pan, Bing Yao really wanted to kick him far away. This guy was really in the way. However, they were still comrades in the trenches, so Bing Yao had shown mercy. However, Lan Lai was not aware of any of this. As he was walking around, he suddenly heard a strange sound. He was so frightened that he quickly hugged Bing Yao tightly. He said with a trembling voice, "Little Bing Bing, there's a ghost." With a bang, Bing Yao's hoof landed on Lan Lai's head. With a face full of disappointment, he roared, "Ghost your head. It was the wind, the sound of the wind. Look at how cowardly you are. You've lost all men's face." Was it the wind? Are you sure? Lan Lai still didn't believe it. "I'm sure." Bing Yao spat out the word through gritted teeth. Seeing how confident it was, Lan Lai relaxed a little. He patted his chest and said, "It's good that it's the wind. It's so scary." Hearing this, Bing Yao couldn't bear it anymore and rolled his eyes. Then he raised his head and roared, "Heavens! If anyone can save me at this time, I'm willing to agree to any conditions. As long as I can do it. It really couldn't stand this disgraceful Lan Lai anymore. However, it was obvious that no one would come to save it, because no one knew it was here. Just as it was thinking this, a low voice sounded in its ear. Really? Any condition? Bing Jie and Lan Lai were both stunned when they heard the voice. There was really someone there? But when they looked up at the direction of the voice at the same time, neither man nor beast could speak. Lan Lai was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 2791. Ice Spirit's Decision. 1. Wasn't this the patriarch of the Qilin race? He didn't do anything. This clan leader wasn't here to teach him a lesson, right? In an instant, Lan Lai's imagination ran wild. He couldn't help but feel his heart tremble. So terrifying. At this moment, the Qilin clan leader's imposing manner that was not angry but still powerful was quite frightening. Lan Lai didn't think he had done anything wrong, but he couldn't help but feel fear when facing a powerful man like the Qilin clan leader. As for Bing Yao, she had never thought that she would see the Qilin clan leader here. She had said those words earlier, so it seemed like she couldn't escape this time. However, for some reason, it suddenly felt relieved. I'm a man of my word, Bing Yao said in a low voice. I'll do anything you want. Remember your words. Bing Pa smiled faintly. Then he picked up Bing Jie with one hand and Lan Lai by the collar with the other. He left the bottom of the cliff with the confused man and beast. Seeing the ice spirit's unusual gentleness to Bing Yao, Lan Lai felt very indignant. Why was it that other people had to carry the ice phoenix, while he had to be carried like luggage? This posture was really too ugly. Lan Lai wanted to protest, but he didn't dare to. He admitted it. Who asked him to be the Qilin clan leader? To treat a human like him, who was obviously an eyesore, this was already quite good. Lan Lai tried to comfort himself. Soon, the ice spirit brought the man and the beast up from the bottom of the cliff. After being rescued, Lan Lai smiled at Ice Soul and said, "Thank you for saving my life, Qilin clan leader. You recognize me?" Hearing this, Ice Spirit raised her eyebrows and said in disbelief. He had followed Bing Jie all the way and found that this human little guy was also following his child. He naturally paid more attention to Lan Lai. After seeing that this little guy had no ill intentions toward Bing Jie, he was relieved. But now, Ice Spirit could not help but examine Lan Lai. Lan Lai, on the other hand, was a little depressed after hearing Ice Spirit's words. According to Lan Lai's thinking, you're the leader of the Qilin clan, so it's hard not to know you. However, he did not expect Ice Spirit to ask, "Do you know me? Shouldn't I recognize him?" After a while, Lan Lai said with unusual respect, "I've met Senior a few times, but Senior doesn't seem to remember any of them." "Oh, if that's the case, you should also be a friend of that little girl Lung Ruoxue." Ice Spirit nodded. He thought that he was very low-key and had only shown his face in that girl's house. This little fellow in front of him recognized him, so he naturally had some relationship with Lung Ruoxue. I met her on the Haotian continent, and we're good friends." Afraid that Ice Spirit would still doubt his words, Lan Lai quickly explained. "I see." Ice Spirit nodded and continued, "However, your strength can't be compared to that little girl's." Lan Lai burst into tears. Was that guy even human? She's a pervert. Gritting his teeth, Lan Lai said with grief and indignation. "Ha! You're quite an interesting little fellow." Upon hearing Lan Lai's words, Bing Pa burst out laughing. It seemed like Lung Ruoxue's friends knew her well. Lan Lai was little embarrassed by the praise from the Qilin clan leader. This made Ice Spirit laugh wildly. After a while, Bing Pa turned to Bing Yao and stared at her. Bing Yao was a little annoyed by his gaze and couldn't help but roar, "Why are you looking at me? I've never seen him before. Thanks, how detestable. Don't look at it." Bing Yao was so depressed that he wanted to bite someone. "What do you think he'll ask for?" Ice Spirit asked with a smile after a moment of silence. "Do you want me to recognize you as my father? I'll just admit it." Bing Yao said with a long face. It was a beastie that kept its promises. Since it had said it would do it, It knew very well that this was what its cheap father wanted the most, so it could only agree. However, after agreeing, Bing Yao realized that it was not as difficult as he had imagined. It was as if everything had come to pass naturally. However, Ice Spirit shook his head. That is what I wish for the most. However, I don't want to use this opportunity to threaten you. I hope that you can call me father sincerely and not out of some promise. In being sincere, Bing Yao said in a small voice. Oh really? Ask your heart. Ice Spirit reminded. Bing Yao didn't say anything. She lowered her head as if she was thinking about something. Lan Lai's mouth was half open when he heard the conversation between the two Qilins. He was completely unable to react. Did he hear some inside story or gossip? They were father and son? Why didn't he look like one at all? More importantly, this fact was too unexpected. Bing Yi, who also came from the Haotian continent like him, had nothing to do with the chief of the Qilin clan in the divine realm. Lan Lai couldn't figure it out, but he was afraid that Ice Spirit would get angry if she saw his curiosity. So, he suppressed the fire of gossip burning in his heart and pretended to be invisible. After that, Lan Lai felt his collar being lifted up. Then, it was as if he was on a roller coaster, jolting up and down. It turned out that the Qilin clan leader was flying while holding onto his collar. But the speed was not something to be complimented. Could it not be so fast? Lan Lai felt like he was about to throw up, but when he saw the Qilin clan leader's dark face, he did not dare to voice his thoughts. When they arrived at the Lung family's main residence, Lan Lai was thrown down again. Then, Ice Soul disappeared with Bing Yao. Lan Lai was standing alone at the entrance. He didn't expect to be left behind like this. He stood there for a long time in a daze. It was only when Uncle Long saw him and patted him on the shoulder that Lan Lai suddenly came to his senses. Little guy, why are you standing here like an idiot? Uncle Long asked curiously. Hello, Uncle Long. Lan Lai greeted him with great enthusiasm. This was an important person in front of Shuer, so he had to be very respectful. Then, he explained to Uncle Long the reason why he was standing there in a daze. When he heard that Lan Lai had been left here by Ice Spirit, Uncle Long patted his shoulder to comfort him. Little fellow, you're not scared, are you? It's all right. Lan Lai replied carefully. He had a feeling that Uncle Long was looking at him strangely, as if he was full of sympathy. You bastard! What was going on? Why did she sympathize with him? That's good. Hearing this, Uncle Long was relieved. With that, Uncle Long turned around and left, leaving Lan Lai, who was confused. Lan Lai was even more confused. He realized that the people around Shuer were all so strange. Could this be the so-called, only those who are close to ink are black? Chapter 2792, Ice Spirit's Decision, 2. Lan Lai stood alone at the door, his mind running wild for a long time before he finally thought of leaving. At this moment, Bing Yao had already been brought back to Lung Ruoxu's residence by Ice Spirit. Even though he really wanted Bing Yao to live with him, now was clearly not a good time. Thus, after passing Bing Yao to Lung Ruoxue, Bing Pa turned around and left with a heart full of jealousy. After Ice Spirit left, Bing Yao remained silent. Even though Lung Ruoxue wanted to ask what happened between the two of them, she could not bring herself to do so when she saw Bing Yao's current state. Fortunately, Bing Yao came clean not long after. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she carefully probed, Bing Yao, what are your plans? I don't know, little Shue. My heart is in a mess. I thought that guy would take the opportunity to ask me to acknowledge him, but he didn't. Bing Yao said unhappily. Are you very disappointed? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Little Shue, what do you mean? Bing Yao didn't quite understand Lung Ruoxue's words. I mean, you thought Ice Spirit would use this opportunity to make you acknowledge him, but he didn't. Are you disappointed? Or rather, you're hoping that he would make such a request? Seeing that Bing Yao did not understand, Lung Ruoxue could only be more direct. How is that possible? Lung Ruoxue's words made Bing Yao's eyes widen in disbelief. Did it really think that way? Bing Yao, there's nothing impossible about this. In fact, I think you want to acknowledge him, but you can't convince yourself. If he can seize the opportunity to make this request, you saying you will acknowledge him is enough to prove that you actually want to acknowledge him. Lung Ruoxue helped to analyze the situation. Then, she stroked the soft fur of the ice phoenix and continued, Bing Yi, I can understand what you're thinking. It's only human nature. After all, he did feel guilty towards you back then. No one will blame you even if you don't acknowledge him. However, if you have the slightest desire to acknowledge him but are too embarrassed to say it, I think this is a good opportunity. You should think about it carefully. With that, Lung Ruoxue did not say another word. Instead, she silently accompanied Bing Yao by the side. Bing Yao also started to think seriously. It couldn't deny that it was indeed a little conflicted. He had been wavering between admitting it or not. He wanted to admit it, but he seemed to be a little unwilling. At the same time, she wanted to acknowledge this cheap father of hers. In the end, Bing Yao was so worried that she had a big head. Little Xue, I'm going out for a while. Bing Yao said to Lung Ruoxue after a long while. With that, it did not wait for Lung Ruoxue's response and ran out. Lung Ruoxue smiled as she watched Bing Yao's back. Without a doubt, Bing Yao must have gone to find Bing Pe to dispel her doubts. It had to be said that Lung Ruoxue was right. The ice dragon was extremely depressed and conflicted by its own thoughts. After leaving Lung Ruoxue's place, it went straight to the ice spirit's residence. When it arrived, it saw the ice spirit looking up at the sky alone. Immediately, it felt a little uncomfortable. This was because this cheap daddy gave it a very desolate feeling and was somewhat out of place with the surrounding atmosphere, which made it feel very bad. At this moment, Ice Soul also noticed Bing Yao. She said in surprise, Bing Yao, why are you here? Thanks. Ice Soul was surprised. Bing Yao rarely came to him. Every time she came to him, it was because she was being bullied. Could it be that someone was bullying Bing Yao? Ice Spirit's face turned gloomy at the thought of this. He must be tired of living to bully his son. Ice Spirit's imagination was powerful. When Bing Yao saw Ice Spirit's face suddenly turn black, she thought that Ice Spirit didn't welcome her. So, she immediately said arrogantly, What? Can I come? Hearing Bing Yao's strange tone, Bing Po was dumbfounded for a moment. He didn't mean it that way. Bingy, I didn't say you couldn't come. Don't misunderstand. Ice Spirit immediately explained. Did someone bully you? Ice Spirit asked. No one is bullying me. I just want to ask if you really want use the condition I agreed to ask me to acknowledge you? Bing Yao asked directly. Bing Yao, I've said it before. I won't raise such a condition. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable in your heart. I also hope that you will be willing to call me father, and not because of some damn promise. Ice Spirit questioned. He didn't expect that Bing Yao would be troubled by this question. For a moment he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, looking at Bing Yao's serious expression, he knew that Bing Yao was really troubled by this thought. Bing Yao, on the other hand, became silent again because of Bing Po's words. Ice Spirit was worried. After an unknown period of time, Bing Yao finally spoke again. Little Xue asked me if I wanted to acknowledge you. Then what do you think? Ice Spirit was so nervous that her heart was in her throat. I don't know, maybe. Bing Yao said honestly. Bing Yao, don't force yourself really. Bing Po said when he saw Bing Yao's uncertainty. However, he was still very happy to hear Bing Yao's words. At least, Bing Yao didn't dislike his existence. That was enough for him. I'm not forcing you. I really want to acknowledge you as my father, but Bing Yao couldn't continue. This was also the reason why he was so conflicted. After all, although he said that he didn't hate this cheap father, he still felt a little strange subconsciously. So, he found that he couldn't say the words of acknowledging his father. Maybe it was just like what little Snowy said. It needed a reason or an excuse to acknowledge its father. In this way, it could deceive itself and say that it had to do this because of the promise. This thought made Bing Yao feel that he was being unreasonable. However, he couldn't control his thoughts, so he was more and more conflicted. I understand. Seeing Bing Yao's reaction, Bing Po comforted her. Just as he said this, Bing Yao immediately threw herself into his arms and started crying. Bing Po was dumbfounded. What was going on? However, the ice spirit still hugged the ice phoenix tightly and comforted it by patting its back. After a long time, Bing Yao finally stopped crying, but she choked. I've decided. I want to acknowledge you as my father. It didn't want to be pretentious anymore, because it suddenly realized that it was extremely reluctant to part with its cheap father's warm embrace. This feeling was completely different from the feeling that its master gave it, so it didn't want to waste any more time. It knew that it wanted a father. Chapter 2793, Ice Spirit's Decision, 3, but Ice Spirit was completely dumbfounded. He didn't hear wrong? Did Bing Yao say that she wanted to acknowledge him as her father? For a moment, Ice Spirit was confused and uncertain. After a long time, Ice Spirit asked carefully, Bing Yao, what did you just say? I said I want to acknowledge you as my father, damn it. What kind of reaction is that? Bing Yao was already angry at the Ice Spirit's lack of reaction, but when he saw that the Ice Spirit didn't hear him clearly, he was even more furious. It had to know how much courage it had to muster to say those words, but this despicable cheap father wanted it to repeat them. It was really too infuriating. I'm sorry. I didn't expect to hear this so suddenly. I was overjoyed and didn't know what to do. Ice Spirit explained when he heard Bing Yao's displeasure. When Bing Yao heard this, he was quite satisfied. In fact, it was also very nervous. It looked at Ice Spirit shyly and said, Father. Bing Yao, you call me father again? Bing Yao's voice was soft, but Bing Po could still hear it clearly. However, he couldn't believe that this surprise came so suddenly, so he wasn't sure. When Bing Yao heard this request, he was instantly enraged. You weren't paying attention again? How much courage did it take for it to call him father? But now he had to. The furious Bing Yao was about to explode, but when she saw the anticipation in Bing Po's eyes, her heart softened and she obediently called out, Father. With the experience from last time, Bing Yao called him father much more smoothly this time. This was the first time in tens of thousands of years that Bing Po had heard the word father. He was moved to tears. Ice Soul, who had dreamed of becoming a father, had finally gotten what she wanted today. His son, the son that he had lost for tens of thousands of years, had finally returned to his arms. Ice Spirit was so happy that words couldn't describe it. At the same time, the Ice Phoenix was also very excited as it was the first time it called someone Dad. This feeling was very novel to it. So after calling someone Dad twice, it continued to call them Dad. The Ice Spirit was very happy to hear this. Bing Yao was also very happy. After taking this step, Bing Yao discovered that acknowledging this father wasn't as difficult as it had thought before. The more he called him father, the more smoothly he said it. The father and son hugged each other even more tightly. After the two of them were close enough, he finally remembered to tell Lung Ruoxue this good news. However, when they saw Lung Ruoxue, the depressed father and son suddenly realized that Lung Ruoxue had an expression of it's a matter of course on her face, as if their reunion was already within her expectations. Little girl, can't you show some surprise and joy? Ice Spirit couldn't help but ask. Exactly. Little Shue, can you not look like you knew this would happen? You should know that we are the first ones to let you know about this. You have to cooperate, right? Bing Yao also agreed. Alright, I'll cooperate. Lung Ruoxue nodded helplessly. Then she put on a surprised and incredulous expression and said to the two of them, This is really good news. Congratulations on your reunion as father and son. The moment Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she saw the father and son in front of her lower their heads at the same time. After looking at each other, they sighed at the same time. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue was depressed. Hey, aren't you guys going a little too far? You asked me to cooperate, but you're not satisfied with me. What are you trying to do? Lung Ruoxue was furious. Little Shue, we asked you to cooperate, but your cooperation is quite insincere. You don't even look happy. Little Shue, your acting skills need to be improved. Bing Yao said helplessly. Yeah, I don't think it's sincere either. As for her son's words, Ice Soul, who had made up her mind to be a filial father, naturally supported him 100%. Alright, now, you're all on the same side, aren't you? You've even learned to anger me. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. Did he have to be so realistic? One had to know that Bing Yao had been acting coquettishly in her arms just now. Hee. Ice Soul, who was content with having a child, could only giggle foolishly after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. Bing Yao leaped into Lung Ruoxue's arms and tried her best to act coquettishly. She even coaxed, "Little Shueshu, don't be angry. We're just joking with you. I know, I'm not really angry. However, the reunion of you father and son is indeed a big event. I've decided to give you guys a good celebration." Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. There's no need to celebrate, right? Just give me something good to eat. Bing Yao requested after hearing this. Little gluttonous cat, you're acting as if I'm short of your food. This is a big event for your Qilin clan, so you must celebrate. Lung Ruoxue smiled helplessly. Yes, Shuer is right. We should celebrate and let all the people know that I have found the little prince of our Qilin race. Bing Per agreed with Lung Ruoxue's words. He wanted everyone to know that Bing Yao was his son. His only son. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue turned to look at Ice Spirit and asked, How do you plan to introduce Bing Yao? Thanks, he's my son. Ice Spirit said in a daze. I mean, how do you plan to tell the clan that the Ice Phoenix has a master? Lung Ruoxue explained more clearly. I haven't decided yet. Ice Spirit hesitated. Seeing her father like this, Bing Yao knew that the matter of her acknowledging a human as her master had put her in a difficult position. However, Bing Yao didn't regret her choice at all. Her feelings for her master couldn't change just because she had acknowledged a father. Thinking of this, Bing Yao said without a care, I'll just tell them directly. I don't plan to return to the Qilin clan anyway. Bing Yao. Bing Po was sad. Didn't Bing Yao acknowledge him? Why did he say that? Father, acknowledging you and returning to the Qilin clan are two completely different things in my eyes. I can acknowledge you, but I don't want to return to the Qilin clan. For so many years, I've gotten used to living a slow life. You want me to suddenly return to the Qilin clan to live with so many Qilin? I have no choice. In comparison, I'm much more comfortable with humans. After all, I've been living with humans since I was young and I've already gotten used to their way of life. So I really don't want to go back. Please understand, father. Bing Yao explained. Bing Po was disappointed, but he agreed with Bing Yao. Because he knew very well that Bing had made this decision not only because it was as it had said, but also because it didn't want his identity to make things difficult for him, its father. What a sensible child. He really let it down. The more she thought about it, the more she felt guilty towards Bing Yao. At the same time, he made an important decision in his heart. After leaving Lung Ruoxue's place, Bing Po went to find Shui Mo. Shui Mo was very surprised to see Ice Spirit at this time. However, he could tell that Ice Spirit had something important to discuss with him, so he didn't tease his brother. Ice Spirit didn't beat around the bush and said to Shuem, Bing Yao has accepted me. Really? Then congratulations, big brother, for getting your wish. Shuemo was very happy for Ice Soul. At the same time, he was glad that he didn't have to face Ice Soul with a sad face anymore. But Bing Yao's identity is a bit. Ice Spirit stopped halfway. He hadn't told any of his clansmen that the Ice Phoenix had a human master, so he didn't know how Shuemo would react if he told him. This also caused him to stop halfway through his sentence. Shuemo didn't know how to read minds, but he could tell that Bing Po was hiding something. He said, What's so difficult about his identity? You also know that when the Ice Phoenix was stolen by the Fog Phoenix, it wasn't born yet. Later, the Fog Phoenix threw the Ice Phoenix to the lower realm, and it's unknown whether it's alive or dead. Ice Spirit stopped and looked at Shuemo. Shuemo knew that his brother had not finished his sentence, so he waited patiently for him to continue. Ice Spirit sighed and continued. Originally, after being thrown away by Fog, it would be very difficult for the Ice Phoenix to survive. However, a human saved it, So the Ice Phoenix acknowledged that human as its master. The Ice Phoenix has a master? Shueimo asked with uncertainty. Yes, I am. Ice Spirit nodded. What kind of person is he? Shueimo asked again. The little prince of the Qilin clan had a human master. This was a big deal, so he didn't know what to do at the moment. I haven't seen him either. I heard that he's Shui Heir's friend. He's currently in seclusion. Ice Spirit said honestly. Then can you have the Ice Phoenix break the contract with its master? Shueimo continued to ask. It's not possible. Bing Jie and its master have a very deep relationship. Besides, I can't do that. After all, Bing Jie has helped him. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to see Bing Jie. Ice Spirit said honestly. Then, does Big Brother want me to tell my clansmen? Shueimo asked. No. Ice Spirit denied. Then what does Big Brother mean by that? Shueimo didn't understand. It was hard to guess what Big Brother was thinking. I want to live with Ice Phoenix, I want to be with it, Ice Spirit said. Big Brother, do you want to leave the Qilin clan? Shueimo asked in shock. I'm not leaving. It's just that I won't be returning to the Qilin clan for now. I want to accompany Bing Jie. Of course, if something happens to the Qilin clan, I'll still be the first to return. Ice Spirit explained. I see. Shueimo understood and said, Big Brother, I know you feel guilty towards Bing Yao and I will support any decision you make, but I'm afraid the elders won't agree. They will agree. It's not like I'm going to leave the Qilin clan. I'm just not going back for the time being. After all, they have managed the Qilin clan very well without me for so many years. So, even without me, they will still act as usual and will not disappoint me. Ice Spirit said confidently. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.